Do not adjust your YouTube sets. It is us, Slick and Thick. We're on location here in Austin the day before the UFC fights. It's your boy, Honky Kong himself, Thicky Smalls, the Vanilla Gorilla Gerard Michaels, and to my right, at 6'3", 200 pounds, and every one of them is a problem. The master of punks, the Tamer of Sages, the king of the ring, the CEO of the RNC, Mickey Gall, ladies and gentlemen.
What's up, Big G?
What's happening, man?
What's up, baby?
I'll tell you what's up. We got the crossover. We're at the home court of the Drinkin Bros, one of the biggest podcasts in the world, a top 25 worldwide Spotify podcast. The man behind it all is to our right, the man, the myth, the legend, Ross Patterson.
Yeah, I like that intro, guys.
Yes, sir.
I like that intro. I'm not going to stand up today because I'm on drugs, so I'm going to sit down during this. No need for me to stand up.
Safety first.
But Mickey, with you, I just want to get in the ring and announce your name. Mickey Gall! And then really drag that out.
Clip that.
Really, and then drag it out.
Let's
you
go.
know?
Yeah.
Let's go.
What weight do you fight at? What's your class?
So I'm welterweight. I fight at 170.
The new welterweight champion of the world, Mickey Gall.
Let's go.
What the heck?
That's how you need to be
Listen to
introed.
you.
There.
Now, sitting in the God chair, we got Delco producing us today. What's going on there, Delco? How you doing? From the Philadelphia.
I know.
From the Philadelphia. What
I
up,
know.
Delph?
Don't hold that against them.
Right outside, yeah.
Well,
outside
look,
Philadelphia.
he's riding high off the Eagles and the fucking Phillies this year. Ask him where he went to college.
Yeah. They know how to get to the big dance. They just don't know how to bring home the prom queen. You know what I'm saying? That's the
They did with Nick Foles. We always
Nick.
forget the Nick Foles year. And that's a shame.
Yeah, same with the Phillies World Series against the Rays. Everybody
That's right.
forgets
Nobody watched it.
Now, Ross, I want to get into this with you because you're in a very interesting position here in that you run a media company. You are an entrepreneur, but you also came from the entertainment industry.
Indeed.
And Disney, which owns 90% of the entertainment industry by hook or by crook, one way or another, they've been in the news recently as Elon Musk told them, I don't want your advertising dollars.
Yeah, go fuck yourself.
Go fuck
Yeah.
yourself.
Literally go fuck yourself.
Go fuck yourself.
GFY.
Imagine buying a company for $44 billion and then saying, you know what? I don't care if I drive this into the ground. Go fuck yourself.
Yeah.
We're all done. Personally, because I was watching it live, sending out some invoices and all that other shit, and I was like, oh my God, is this really going down?
CNBC.
Yes. And I was like, is this really going down? And then I was all in, and I was like, holy shit. One, I loved to see it happen. Two, to be willing to throw away a $44 billion acquisition like that in front of the new the head there, Linda Yacconelli or Yacconelli or whatever the fuck her name is
Linda World Economic Forum plan.
Mind-altering, right?
Is it though?
It is.
So here's my thing. And I get where you're coming from, but I always feel like this part of it is either misunderstood, not understood, or completely ignored. That is $44 billion corporate espionage acquisition. Just to spend that money to know what all of your competitors and your enemies are saying in their DMs is worth it if you have it.
If you got it, right? But then you got to do something else with it. And the problem is when you have shareholders and everything to report to and all that stuff.
Well, you privatized it.
Well, I know, but then you got to keep the lights on with all the storage and everything else. I mean, it's expensive as shit because now they're doing videos. That video's got to live somewhere and it's got to be stored. That's how YouTube had to sell to Google, was they could no longer afford the storage on it. So to say go fuck yourself during all of that while you're trying to keep this company alive.
Or you're trying to expand it into full-length video.
It's nuts, dude. But
Power move, though.
I love to see it. Look, as a consumer and somebody who owns a company, I've done it a handful of times in my life, and it's the greatest thing of all time. And then the other people who were either CC'd on these emails or were on the phone calls or the Zooms or whatever were like, holy shit, what you just did is my dream. This is another level, though, that we have not seen in, I don't think, our lifetime, with a tech exec coming out and saying, all right, well, fuck all you guys. I don't really care. Like Zuckerberg would never do that.
No, never. And I think that's what makes Elon. I think it's a calculated risk, but I also think it's like, also understanding the moment. I mean, he became a populist hero. He just became. How did a guy worth $100 billion just become a man of the people?
I know.
Stone Cold Steve Autism was born.
Yeah.
He's just go fuck yourself. He bags 2 Coors Lights together, pours them.
It was fucking awesome to watch. But again, you go to the top dogs like a Bezos. Bezos would never do that. Too worried about profits, everything else. All these fucking guys, dude. Hollywood, executives, sports teams, franchises, all that shit. I mean, you say one word, and people will tear you down.
For sure.
Let alone go fuck yourself to your advertisers.
There seems like there's a narrative he wants to play out should the company go down.
Yeah.
Like he's like, the Earth will decide. The Earth will decide what the truth.
But it was
is.
also very telling. Sorkin's, who's the editor of the New York Times, and and all those bigwigs were all sitting there in the audience. They were like, "No, the people don't get to decide. We decide.
Yeah.
They don't get to decide.
I got to be a little bit
decide.
of a contrarian too. I know everyone loves Musk. And he's like, hell yeah, it's badass. I feel like he's a little bit like a Herb. Like a little bit of he's like kind of a dork, and he's like trying to be like the bad boy.
Well, he's definitely autistic. And I'm not
100%.
meaning that like a derogatory. I mean that as like
superhuman.
I think
they have superhuman skills. That's what I mean. It makes sense.
And it comes with
the future.
It comes with a little tardism up there. Like there's nothing you can do to get away from that. And it's probably what made him great in the first place. But watching that unfold was truly spectacular. And I just wish it happened more. But I don't think we're going to see it. I mean, look, Trump did it essentially with the first run in 2016. We all loved it, and flash from other people and everything else. But now
he's been getting railroaded for it.
But it's
But
interesting.
now we re-love him again, where he's up in all the polls and all that other shit, and it's like him being silent because of not being on social media, Twitter, ironically, has probably served him good, and he might be back in that seat again.
Right. It's like the system hates him, but the people love him.
Right.
You know?
And so
and it's probably going to be kind of the same thing for Musk.
for Musk as well, where it's like he'll have this, complete revolution.
And
of
we're all
shit.
about the people overcoming the system.
We're the podcast
You know
for
what I
the people,
mean?
baby.
Yeah.
So I'm with it. I'm on it. I'm on his side for sure.
Yeah,
had
I would
to
say
keep it all the way real, like we like to do.
keep it all the way real. The only thing that's interesting about it, though, and now you've been in the entertainment industry your whole adult life, and you were in Hollywood for a long time.
Yeah.
One of the only ways to do business with these people, though, is to tell them I don't want to do business.
100%.
We had Chaz Palminteri, big friend of the program, great guy. People don't know he turned down selling the rights when he was dead broke. Go back to that episode. It's way early on, like episode 6.
Yeah.
He turned down selling the rights to A Bronx Tale like 8 times.
Yeah.
When he had no money and they were offering him $50,000. All right, we'll give you $100,000. All right, we'll give you
Collective
$200,000.
welfare.
Yeah.
But he had a vision for it, and he stuck to his guns. And
Well, yeah, he had to
they
play
didn't want
Sonny.
him to play Sonny.
Yeah, and they want and talk about how times have changed. They wanted to take out the interracial relationship.
Oh, in the movie?
Yeah, those
That's
were
hilarious.
and that would be the whole reason it got greenlit today.
Yeah, and I mean, look, there's elements to Hollywood itself where you've got to decide what you want to do. And definitely when I was there, you couldn't do shit like that. Like, you couldn't even be a Republican. So there was a secret group they used to meet called FOA. It was called Friends of Abe.
Oh yeah, that's Gary Sinise, right?
Well, it used to be back in the day. So
Yeah.
it's no longer. When Trump got in, they disbanded it, and some people didn't like him in the Republican side, and some people didn't. And others were just afraid if they got caught at something like that of like, hey, if you supported Trump from 16 on out in Hollywood, you were fucking done.
You could be a pedophile,
But
not a Republican.
Yeah, correct.
That's.
And so I went.
Actually, I think Caitlyn Bruce Jenner said that. She said, was it hard to transition coming out? She said, no, it was way harder coming out as a Republican. And it wasn't a joke.
No, that's serious.
Yeah.
But I went to one of the FOAs. I got invited. So I went. It was a once-a-month thing, and it was like a brunch.
Who was everyone that was there?
I can tell you who was there.
Name names.
Yeah, I'll name names. So the person
And
took me.
don't give us Kevin Sorbo either. Everybody knows that.
He took me.
Okay.
So I went. Yeah, I did a movie with Kevin. So he
what's
took
up.
me, and I didn't know it existed. I had no idea. But you're looking at there were some big guys there. There was Ron Howard.
Ron Howard?
Ron Howard.
No way.
Yep. Mark Cherry, the creator of Desperate Housewives and shit like that. Like,
Wow.
there was some higher up people.
I used to watch that.
And then John Voight was there, obviously. Not that that's a huge
Right.
shock,
That's not a
but
surprise.
some of the guys and that are out there, James Woods and things like that. Like some of those guys, I'm sure that's an easy guess. But like a Ron Howard, you're like, oh,
Would not have guessed
well,
that.
fuck, I didn't know that. But he was a pretty pragmatic guy. And
now we know why Arrested Development was so funny.
But then once it's out, right? And so you can't go back. And I think you're in that from 16 to now, and let's say Trump gets back in again.
Really 15 probably the on the trail, right?
Oh, yeah.
The campaign was the worst part.
100%. And because during the trail, though, everybody thought he was going to lose in Hollywood.
Yes.
So they didn't really care. And,
DC too.
And it was kind of a joke. So, like, if you wore I was one of the first people to get one of those, the MAGA hats, the Make America Great Again. So I had it, I was wearing it, and you can like scroll back into my Instagram feed, and I used to wear it everywhere, and it was always hilarious. Of like, oh, Ross, you're a comedian, dude. Yes, of course you want Trump to win, he'll never win. So nobody cared. And then once he got elected, that actual night, that hat became a fucking Nazi symbol, and then everybody cared overnight. And then people went back into my feed and found it on, I was at like an Ohio State game or something.
Speaking of your Instagram feed, St. James.
Yes.
What is that? What's the origin of that? What does that mean?
So I wrote a series of books, and I have one more left. When my wife got pregnant by me,
okay,
obviously,
congratulations.
thank you very much.
Hey,
thank you.
Here's to not being impotent.
Yeah.
Well done.
I appreciate it.
Well done.
Yeah. My man knows how to have sex.
Swimmers
swim. Sure do. I got 3 of those. I got
Sex
3
trophies.
Kids. Yeah. Well,
Damn.
3
That's how good you
kids.
are.
That's what a sex trophy is. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I got 3 kids. But she said, "Hey, I don't. It's my first time going through this, obviously." And I was like, "Well, thank you."
Well, I saw on TikTok. I saw on TikTok that 30% of all children are not by the biological father.
What?
I don't know if that's true.
No.
I saw it on TikTok.
No.
So one of those 3 is statistically.
Gerard.
And they're all pro-Palestine. All of those 30% you're talking about.
Oh, is that right?
No, that's
No,
TikTok.
actually,
that's what TikTok wants you to think.
Wait. Yeah, no, that checks out.
Yeah, that's what TikTok wants you to think.
Yeah.
But no, we were doing a press tour. Her and I started a movie together. That's how we met. And we were doing like a 30-city press tour. And she was like, "Hey, could you not go and do a movie and just stay with me, over this 9 months? I'm kind of worried. I don't know what's going to happen or whatever." And I was like, "Yeah, I didn't want to stay stagnant." And my people would always ask me to write a book, but I didn't really know what I would write about or anything else. And while we were doing this press tour, I'd do a bunch of impressions, and I was up for SNL and all that shit. So people were giving me 50 Shades of Grey. So I was reading 50 Shades of Grey, like excerpts as like Morgan Freeman.
Can't imagine the MAGA hat helped the SNL audition.
Well, but it was back in the day.
Oh, it predated it.
So yeah, I was
back when SNL was funny.
I auditioned because I was like 3 years in a row. I think it was 07, 08, maybe 09. And then once they say no, then you're done after that. But the book started in 14 is when I started writing it. But I was reading excerpts of 50 Shades of Grey as Morgan Freeman and shit, and they were like, and there I was laying on the bed, and she cowered over me, hitting me with a paddle, or whatever it was, right? Well, after like the 3rd radio interview, and I was doing this, I was like, what the fuck is this book? And I bought it. And so, we were on the road, and I bought it, and I bought 50 Shades of Grey. It was terrible. And so I called my agent.
It's Twilight fan fiction, I think, which... Is that true? I think I read that somewhere where 50 Shades of Grey started as like Twilight fanfic.
In the thing, it was about a dude who was a dominatrix over a girl.
I know.
It was an independent book, so it wasn't published by a publisher at that point.
Yeah.
But then it just kind of took off and had a life of its own. So I called and I said, "Hey, has anybody ever written a romance novel for dudes?" And they were like, "No, nobody's ever done this." And I was like, "Great."
Whoa.
Yeah.
50 Shades of Grey started out as fucking. I know shit.
Look
dude.
at you, dude.
Look at me.
Look at you.
Fucking yeah.
So I wrote the first ever romance novels for dudes, and the first one was called "At Night She Cries While He Rides His Steed." So the character in that, the lead character, is St. James Street James, and he talks like that throughout the book.
St. James Street James?
Correct, yeah. So that way it's
I always
still
thought it was
S.C.
St. James.
Well, that's the joke, right?
okay,
It's St. James Street James, and so he corrects everybody everywhere he goes.
Does he ever meet a pimp named Slickback?
No, but it does take place in historical time. So, like, he fucks Harriet Tubman in the sequel because the first book blew up. Harriet Tubman's on the
He's doing
cover.
a lot of fucking.
Sheeran.
If it's one for guys, it's got to be a lot of just.
Oh, it's horrific, but it's all comedy. So there's every other
check
line
these
is a
out.
one-liner. It's huge.
You got to figure Harriet Tubman was doing some fucking. And that's how she got away with what she got away with.
Oh,
right? I
correct.
mean, like, use what you got.
Well, that was like Napoleon's wife. she was like, the only reason I survived was because I was basically giving it up.
Yeah, you use what you got to get what you need, baby.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's a disgusting book, and the audiobook is what we spent a lot of time on afterwards.
Oh, you got the audiobook too on Audible?
Can we
it's
play
everywhere,
an
it's everywhere.
excerpt,
Oh, I'm on it, I'm
Delco?
on
We have to play an
Yeah,
excerpt.
yeah.
You-
Easily. You just
are
pop
you
it
the
up
one
on
doing
Amazon
it?
or whatever. Yes.
You're narrating? Awesome,
And here's the beauty of it is because I didn't have social media or any of that stuff because I was in Hollywood. My publicists were like, "Hey, you're playing different roles. Don't put any of your private life out there, and stay as private as you can for as long as you can." And then it just switched overnight. So when
Meanwhile,
the book
he's
came out,
signing all of these reality stars and giving them your roles.
right. And so, dude, at that point, man, I had the hardback out, but I didn't really have a way to promote it. So it was kind of a slow burn. And then the audiobook came out, and it was the first time. And I'd asked Simon & Schuster, I said, look, I want to do this myself. I want to do it, with actors. And they're like, nobody's ever done it. We've got this British guy who's going to do it. And they do like 95% of the books. And I was like, not for this one. And so I fought him tooth and nail to the end. And what exploded later on was the audiobook itself. And then that's what made the series explode because of this audiobook. Because the way it's read in the other characters is it's actors.
This sounds ripe for animation.
Oh, it is. Well, and so Spotify, by the way, just did a book deal with audiobooks. So you can now listen to audiobooks on Spotify. And they took 100 books. This was one of the 100 books they took. It was, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, let's hear a little bit.
Mick's a big guy that reads with his ears.
I yell out to the man behind the bar who is inches in front of my face. Quietly hand me an entire bottle of fucking whiskey and be discreet about it. An old Indian bartender in his 50s, Manuel, stares at me exasperated. You're going to have to pay
I like
for
how
those double doors
the
you
one
booked
audio
for,
excerpt
Sanchez.
they have is this is probably the only one that doesn't
I
say
exhale
fucking
on
it.
his face for 58 seconds straight without blinking just to prove a point. He doesn't blink once, and neither do I. This is our little game. He used to work on our farm and babysit me as a kid. We would play cowboys and Indians, except we weren't pretending. I consider him the closest thing I have to a friend
So
in
every
this
other
town.
line is like a
But
one-liner.
men
like
never
that.
let that shit show back then.
Very like Archer.
So
almost.
instead,
yeah, I love
reach
it.
into my
Yeah.
burlap sack and pull out a large chunk of gold and drop it on top of the bar. Here you go, fuckface. Bottle me up. Without a hint of non, I chalantly slide my hand into my full-length elk-skin duster and whistle a show tune with pitch-perfect precision. I tap the exposed handle of my six-shooter, which is peeking out from my gun holster hip-high, and begin counting aloud how long it takes him to get me a drink in numerical Mississippi's.
Watch Audible take us down.
Man,
Right here.
Actually, you probably should. You probably could pull it. Yeah. Simon and Schuster would probably pull it.
we're gonna get a.
I know you're gonna get dinged
Yeah.
for it, but it's one of those things where like it just kept going and going and going, and like and then the sequel came out, and then I got lucky because at that point, Trump was in. Shit had started to go woke out there, and they did not want the sex scene with Harriet Tubman. So this was 2015 because it was about to come out as he was running at that point. So we're like, take the Harriet Tubman thing and out, and it was the end of the book. And I go, at that point, I go, what are you going
Who's
to do
dead?
if I don't? Simon & Schuster.
Got it.
And so I said, what are you going to do if I don't? And they're like, we're not going to release the book. And so Trump is running at this point, and I was like, all right. I called my agents, and I saved that chapter for the next one. However, in the contract, I said, look, I want all creative control in the sequel if this does well, blah, 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 blah. And because of that, once that exploded and then I did the sequel, I had my own artist do the artwork, and it was me holding hands, the character holding hands with Harriet Tubman on the cover. That led off the first top of the book, and then I forced their way out of it. So they had 30 days to say yes or no to the sequel, and they were like, well, we're not going to take it with Harriet Tubman. And I go, great, you know the contract, so that means I can do it then, and I got the rights back. And so they waited till day 29, and then they came back with their lawyers, and they were like, it's yours.
Wow.
And, yeah. So I retained all the rights. I got everything, and
You played chicken with the machine and won.
yeah. But at that point, though, like this, will go back to like the Elon Musk stuff. If you feel like you've got enough money in your life to make these decisions and everything else, and at that point I did, then it was easy. Now I didn't know how I was going to do when you self-publish something or whatever, but I knew the podcast was big. And I knew that I was slowly building a social media platform. So I was like, I think this will do all right. I made 3 times as much off the sequels that I did off of Simon & Schuster.
Wow.
Yeah.
even without their marketing machine, the whole nine.
Because the publishing marketing machine is dead, and that's a common misconception now, where you think you're going to be on Good Morning America or Jimmy Fallon or everything else, and this is what I like about what we do.
Book signings
personally,
and all that shit.
Right, is let's say you go on Jimmy Fallon. Jimmy Fallon right now is bringing in about 900,000 people. You're on it for an 8-minute segment. Let's say you're on a Tuesday night on November 21st. Well, if you're not watching that or you don't have it recorded, you might miss it, and you don't know. You're not going to know who I am, who your book is, and everything else. If I go and do a podcast or you do Drinkin' Bros, cool. You're getting more than that. Yep. 1, 2, it's a catalog, so everybody can go back and find that episode, find the thing. It lives forever. That does not happen in late night television or Good Morning America anymore. So therefore, it doesn't really help. So if you were asking me as an author of where I would want to go first, it's Joe Rogan.
Yeah,
and then I can list off about
that's like the new Tonight
60
Show.
other. It is. He's the white Oprah. So you go and do Rogan, your life changes overnight. As an author, you look at David Goggins, people and guys like that. Podcasters, every podcast that's ahead of Drinkin' Bros in the charts has been on Rogan, comedically. Theo Vaughn, who I love. I love all these guys. So it's not a jealousy thing at all, but they all have one thing in common: they're on Rogan.
Sure.
Bert Kreischer. Chris DiStefano, Tom Segura, all those guys, you found them because of Rogan.
Yeah, and
you
also
get that bump from him.
You get the Rogan bump, and then you also get industry goes, well, Joe's giving his seal.
Right, if you're good. So if you're terrible on it, it'll disappear. I've had one guest who was on Rogan, I won't say who it is, and they were like, "Man, I bombed on Rogan," and I was like, "What happened? Was it a reverse effect?"
Too high?
And he goes, "No, he didn't get too high. He just said he was nervous." And he was pretty honest. He goes, "I was just nervous." He goes, "I gained about 5,000 Instagram followers." And he was like, "A lot of people gain more." And he goes, "The thing that I was promoting did okay, but not great." But he goes, "I knew I wasn't great." And he goes, "I wish I could go back and redo it."
Yeah, but you weren't good enough, so now you can't go back.
Can't go back. That's the thing. And it's the same thing with guests on our show. If you're not good enough, we just don't invite you back.
Yeah.
And I've said it on the show, so it's not like it's a secret.
You started in comedy, so you know how it goes. It's no different than people who are like, "Hey, how do you book that gig?" And I really want to be like, be funny.
Well, that was actually going to be my
but-
question. I was going to ask how you got started in Hollywood, but did you start as a comedian?
Started off in stand-up at 16. As soon as I got my driver's license, I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. I looked up all the open mics, and the night of my 16th birthday, when I got my driver's license, my parents gave me an old car. It was a fucking 89 beige Ford Tempo. I went into downtown Atlanta and did open mics. And so first open mic, I actually ran into 2 girls that I had liked from another school, and I fucking bombed. And I had a fake ID. I had I had all the fun stuff, and I threw up in the parking lot afterwards. Like, that feeling of bombing was so horrific that it sticks with you forever.
Yeah.
And I threw up in the parking lot. It took me 2 months to gather up the courage to go back. I'm about maybe 5 minutes into the next set, and somebody starts heckling me from the audience. And I just fucking eviscerate this guy, and the place goes nuts. Then the comfort's there, then I could go back, and then I was able to concentrate on the jokes and kind of figure it out. And it just turned out that the jokes that I was writing were so advanced that they didn't want to see a 16-year-old tell adult jokes, essentially. So I had to restructure
Right, they don't want to
everything.
hear you telling them how to live their life or whatever.
Or how
like,
to
you're
fuck.
a fucking kid.
How to fuck at 16, where you're like,
Like,
bro.
they're like, shut up,
like,
kid.
Yeah,
Okay.
So it was just changing it, but it did give me the confidence to be like, all right, cool. Now I want to do X, Y, and Z and go from there. So it was a great starting point. And I liked stand-up, but I didn't love it. I loved it on nights where it was packed. But what I learned was, especially when I got to New York, because I went to NYU after Ohio State, is like Dave Attell and those guys and Mark Maron. They were in the back of the club one night. I think it was at Caroline's, and there was like 40 people in there. Mm-hmm. And I can't get bricked up for 40 people, whereas those guys can. And that's the difference.
40
between,
people in a lot of shows is a good show.
that's what I'm saying.
You know?
So like for them, I was like, man, I would rather have another avenue like movies or, what I didn't know at the time was podcasts, where there's more people, because at that point I'd already performed for more people. And stand-up was kind of at a lull at that
You
point.
can choose your people too.
Right.
Comedy did change. And the way that you can do those shows, Dave Attell, because you want to hang out with those guys. Mm-hmm. It's your boys, you're bullshitting in the green room. Hey, you know what? I'm going to go do my 10 and then come back with the boys. The dynamic of comedy changed. and who got booked and what the room was like. And then it started becoming very like what you can say, what you can't. Like when I first started in comedy in New York, it was the Patrice O'Neill's days. It was try to go as far as you possibly can. Go ahead, see, and then like the people in the back would be almost supporting you, be like, this motherfucker really just trying to rape joke, like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it would be like supportive, and like if you bombed whatever, then it became the opposite.
You got woke.
It got so woke so quick. But before the world knew what woke was, the entertainment industry did, and it became like gender theory, queer theory. There was nonstop.
Was there a moment when woke was a positive thing?
Oh, that's a great question.
I feel like there was. I feel like there was a moment where woke was like, I'm woke. I'm awakened to this stuff, but then it quickly became.
I think
it was black people. Actually,
I think the Me Too stuff was really
cool
necessary.
I think so. I think they were the ones that started it. Of like, hey, dude, I'm woke to what's going on here.
Right.
And then white people obviously ruin everything. So that's what happened after that.
I think Me Too was necessary. I think the reaction to like, having to get butt fucked by Harvey Weinstein to live out your dream is not what anybody wants for their daughter, sister, wife. You know what I mean? Like, so I think all of us can empathize with that.
I had to ask my wife about it, dude. She was like, look, man, if I just suck a dick to get that Oscar, is that a bad thing?
And
she was like, that cost me an Oscar. The Me Too cost me an Oscar. I'm kidding, but she says it all the time. But it depends on what you're there for, right? Because go back to Chaz Palminteri. You have the choice, and we've said this on Ross Patterson Revolution too. We're like with the Harvey Weinstein. You went up to the fucking hotel room, why were you going up there in the first place?
I pretty much agree.
I don't think so. So if Dana White made you suck his dick to get in the UFC, otherwise you couldn't be in the UFC, you'd be like, well, you got to do what you got to do.
No,
of course.
I know, but I'm saying going to the hotel room.
For a title fight? What if it's a title fight?
I'm a man first. I'm not sucking any man's
well, that's the
dick
thing, right?
nothing.
But if you're a vulnerable girl who moved all the way out to LA, you're chasing your dream, and now here you are, you're with the executive producer, a guy who greenlights 30 films a year.
You have to be pretty naive to go to a man's hotel room. No, they know what they're doing.
No, but they don't think they're going to get the role if they don't, because if I don't do it, somebody else is going to do it, and they're going to get the role.
Yeah, they should like fake diarrhea or something.
But then somebody else gets the role.
But here's the thing about acting, and being out of it for a while now, you're able to look back and see it, is truthfully, there's 10, 12 other people who could have had the fucking role. Like, there's rare occasions where you see something and you're like, oh, that was the person and that was it. Typically, you're up against 400 or 500 people, and if you look back on it, you're like, oh, well, I could have done that, and
Well, it's the writer, it's the post-production, and it's the director, and you put any monkey in that role, and they're going to do pretty good.
Right. So to me, like, if you're going up to a hotel room in the middle of the night, like, it's never great. It's never great with a stranger, let alone Harvey Weinstein.
Yeah.
So it's tough.
Well, I'm just trying to say, for like Mick's point, like, was there ever, and look, anybody who, for the people who listen to this, like, I think they know the way I feel about woke culture. Anybody who knows me knows the way I feel. But if I have to give credit where it's due, I do think it existed for a reason. But I think it's been an overcorrection. And then beyond an overcorrection, I think
weaponized empathy.
I think a lot of bad people saw
an opportunity.
And that goes
against you.
And that goes back to, and I want to get into your career in writing and acting as well. But Bob Iger, to circle back with that, he finally now said the quiet part out loud. Probably because he's about to lose his company. The CEO of Disney, the high Bob Elon was talking about, who doesn't want to advertise on X anymore, said, we have focused too much on messaging. We have not made good enough movies, and that's why we're losing billions of dollars a year. So again, everybody's like, Elon's throwing away his company. I've never heard that once from anybody in the media ask why Disney lost half their market cap in 10 years.
Well, it's so both can be correct at the same time. So if you look at Disney, 10 out of their last 13 movies have bombed. I've seen almost every single one of those films, including the last one that just came out, Wish, over the holidays. I got 3 kids. They love to go to the movies. We got a great theater by my house. It's got a full bar, Barca loungers, the whole shit. It's dope, right? So I'll go see anything they want every single weekend, which pretty much it is. What I've noticed from the writing side of it is you've got 80 different races jammed in there, some gender thing. You don't really have the stories that you used to. So a lot of it is purely in the writing and then trying to jam all these people and cultures and everything into the same thing.
It's lazy and it's hacky.
It is. And I said this
Lazy, hacky, and preachy.
I know I said this on another show. Like, if you take the ones that my kids watch all the time, like a Moana. Even though it's all on a fictional island and a fictional place or whatever, you know the culture, you know the people, you know who they are, you know the family, and you're not really veering outside of that. Whereas a lot of this shit, the Wish movie that I just took my kids to that bombed, the one that they were talking about, you got this white king, a white queen, which makes me think that it's in England. It's not really in England. And then you've got this brown girl who is nondescript. You don't know if she's Mexican, Spanish, whatever the fuck it is, and she's trying to take on the white king and queen, and you're like, all right, but what time period would that be in and everything else? It all gets so fucking confusing where for kids, I think the simpler it is, with like a Snow White or something like that, where you got the 7 dwarfs, you can identify with all of them, and the simpler it is, the easier the kids can go along with it. Where now they've just overcomplicated all the stories and the scripts, where even I, as a parent sitting there, I'm like, I don't know where the fuck we are with.
Sure.
What city is this?
And how do you write a comedy where it's like, okay, my number one objective in this comedy is to make people laugh? No, it's not. It's to make sure that no one's offended and we can sell advertising.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, so you want me to make a 90-minute commercial?
Pretty much.
Like, what the fuck?
And the one that I wrote one about a year. I did a rewrite on one for about a year ago now at this point, and it was for MGM. And I can say it now because I'm fucking done with it. But the lead character was a girl who was mixed. So she was mixed, black dad, white mom, trans best friend, moves to a new city, gets a gay best friend. So like as I'm writing, on my computer, I've got notes up next to it, Post-its, and I'm trying to remember which gender all these fucking people are. And, you get 3 drafts and then you're kind of done with it and you move on. But with that, like one of the notes that came back was you misgendered this one character or whatever. And I was like, cool, we'll change it. I mean, it'll take me 2 seconds to change the she to a him
no, you
or
don't.
whatever
You don't
the fuck it
understand.
is.
don't get it.
You don't get it.
I know.
The intern that read this died.
Yeah.
You misgendered the character, and the intern died, and now you're accountable. Yeah, no, it's insanity. It's pure insanity. There's just no. What's the last great comedy? Comedy. I mean, you were in Accepted.
Yep.
That was a great movie. I mean, what was that?
I love
like?
The New Guy too.
So talk about that. What
Sure.
was that like through the process?
Oh, wait, real quick. So when you were doing comedy, you were at NYU. When did you like go to Hollywood? Start your
Immediately after. So Ohio State's was first.
Right.
I graduated, went to NYU 2 days afterwards, finished NYU, and then moved to Hollywood the next day. So I was on a flight the next day. Okay. I knew what I was going to do for a long period of time at that point. So I knew the structure, and I was also following the box office in school, and I was studying it like a playbook for a game or something like that every week. I would study the box office, see what was hot. And so when I was at Ohio State, that's when I saw the trend of teen movies. And I was like, all right, if I can get in the proper training in this amount of time, I think I can hit this window just about right.
Right.
And that's exactly what happens. But when I got there, I realized how difficult it was.
My
There's a lot of luck
years
that's
as a
involved.
teen actor are waning. I got a little bit of time left, but it's
sucks.
waning.
How old are you right
It's
now?
waning. 31.
It sucks. It's not the 90s. You'd have 9 more years.
I
what I'm
was,
saying.
hey, dude, I was fucking 28 and accepted.
Wow.
Yeah. And I'll put it this way. The last like massive offer that I got was a college show on, I think it was ABC Family, and I was 30, and it was to play a junior in college. And the
I can still play a college kid.
The contract was 6 years, and I would have been 36 years old when I graduated college on the show.
Am
By
I
the way,
delusional?
the show went all 6 years. It went 6 years.
Did it really?
Yeah, and it would have ruined my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
So,
I
so you
said
went
no.
out there, and when did you start having success? How much like?
So I get there. Because I'm a really fucking hard work. My work ethic is unmatched, I think, right? So immediately I get headshots, I get resumes, I gun it all out in the mail because that's what it was at that point. So it was mail, and I sent roughly 700, 800 within a 2 to 4 week period.
Where'd you have the money from? Was your family helping you? They were supporting you?
No,
on this? They
so I
were
was
supportive or
at
what?
that point. Yes, they were over the years, but at that point, I was a bouncer in college, And I made a fuck ton of money at Ohio State, so I'd saved it all. And I'd saved like, I don't know, 60, 70 grand. Now you run out of that pretty quick.
I was a
yeah.
bouncer in college, by the way, is code word for drug dealer. Just, I don't know if people
No,
know
I didn't
that.
deal. My roommate did. He was the one that did drugs.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Which was great for all of us, right?
Yeah, it's great for the statute of limitations for sure.
It was awesome, and I worked at this bar in Columbus. That's it held 1,200 people. There was always a line, so everybody would slip me $100 to get in. So I was making like fucking
Wow, now we're talking.
3-4 grand a night.
Now
It was
we're
dope
talking.
as shit. It was probably the
3-4
best.
grand a night.
It was probably one of the best jobs I've ever had. Because that's
shit.
It was only 20 to 30 people gave you $100 to skip the line and get in.
Tremendous.
It was the best.
Wow.
It was
So everyone
one of the best
knew,
jobs I've ever
you
had.
let it known that you give me $100, you're in.
100%. And if anybody from Ohio State came in that was a legend, like Herb Street. Kirk Herbstreit was just beginning College Game Day at that
Why
point.
do people give a shit about
$200.
Kirk Herbstreit? Sidebar. Like, he was an okay college quarterback, right?
Yeah, so he played for Ohio State.
I know, but he was
wasn't very
okay.
good. He wasn't very good at all.
Yeah.
But
He's an analyst, no?
He is an
Yeah.
excellent analyst, and he's an excellent personality. And he found his thing, and he's awesome. So like when the old Ohio State guys came in, it was just a nod, and it was a what's up, and I let those guys in, and then everybody else had to pay me.
Is that a weird thing when guys are like still hanging out at the college bar when they're 45? Is like,
No.
who's the guy that has 2 Heismans and then really didn't do much in the NFL? Ohio State
Archie,
guy, right?
yeah, Archie Griffin, yeah.
He's just hanging out on High Street, being like, yeah. I got
He never did. So he never hung out there. But the bar that I worked at wasn't on the college campus. It was downtown. So it was open to everybody. So it was anybody from like 20s to late 30s who was there.
Okay.
So for Herbstreit to come in or guys like that, it wasn't unusual.
I'm thinking about getting a job as a bouncer.
for 2-3 grand a night.
Well,
yeah.
It was just do it at a packed club where they got to pay you to get in. So
Yeah.
that's
Hard to get
what
away
it
with
is.
that stuff. I bounced too, and
Well, now they got cameras.
well, that's the thing.
I didn't have cameras, brother.
We would walk up and down the line. And this is back in the day when there would be the
Cameras
big,
ruin everything.
They really
You can't
did.
do any
Yeah.
crime.
No.
Yeah. The big box clubs where there would be like lines when people were super into like, we called it techno and shit. And I'd walk up and down the line and be like, $20 skip the line. I didn't know I could get 100. I was like, $20 skip the line, $20.
Yeah.
And then girls would be like, you can't do that. And I'd be like, Well, let's see. I'm
Yeah.
going to do it, and let's see if I can do it or not. And then we'll
Right,
see.
right.
Definitely
We'll
do it.
see what happens. And then, but also, I feel like people were smarter back then, where like the cameras might catch you now because these idiots come up and they're like, I heard I give you $100. You're like, what the fuck, idiot?
Yeah.
No. Like, if you didn't have a fake ID before they changed it to like the vertical for the underage kids in Jersey, you would just fold up a 20 behind the ID, hand the ID, and then it'd be like, all right, cool. And it was that simple. You could be 19 years old with your ID that said 19, fold a 20 behind it, and boom, you go in. Easy peasy.
You're
lemon
good
squeezy.
to go. And my dad taught me about it. He was like, dude, I was like going on dates in high school. And he was like, oh, you going to that concert? And I was like, yeah, I wish I had better tickets or whatever. And he goes, oh, just grease the guy.
Grease the guy.
And I was like, what
Grease
the
him.
fuck does that mean?
Yeah.
And then he told me, he's like, oh, just fold it up. Make sure it's folded.
Yep.
Give him the handshake, and you're good to go. And it worked at the first concert I went to.
Yeah.
And then after that lesson stuck with me forever.
That was one of the saddest things about New Yankee Stadium, because you used to be able to do the same thing at Old Yankee Stadium.
Oh, yeah.
Where you'd buy like a bleacher creature
Right,
seat
right,
for
right,
like
and then start working
$10,
your way down.
and then like the second inning, you got your stuff, you go up, you get the guy, you duck him a 20, and next thing you know, you're sixth row behind the now. You go to do that, and they're like, we can't do that. Sorry, I have to scan it. And I'm like, I fucking hate what this world's become.
It's not only a barcode, it's a moving barcode. There's a fucking urine sample.
Yeah.
And it sucks. But yeah, back in the day, because when I was in school there, that's what we would do.
Watch a New York Yankees game from 2001 when they were great, and it looks like the stadium is like packed forever, because it was. Now watch a New York Yankee game today, and it'll look like there's literally nobody in frame behind home plate.
Those tickets are $2,000.
And they don't let anybody sit there.
Yeah.
Used to pay the $2,000, and then if you're not coming in, like, all right, let's get some guys, go up there. It looks better on TV. There's
Right.
there's
Yeah.
fans.
Slide them down, move them down.
Not anymore, man.
They don't do it. They'd rather have it empty.
They'd rather have it empty, because I think what happens is some scumbag is watching the game at home and goes, "Hey, those are my seats.
Yep.
I want a refund.
I want a refund.
I want a refund.
Wow.
Yeah.
Somebody else's dirty asshole sitting in those
And
seats.
this is why people love Palestine. So
Exactly.
anyway, we can probably cut. Oh shit, we're live. All right.
Nothing you can do.
It's nothing we
Can't
can
go
do.
back. You're live,
So
brother.
you were saying how he how he went to I don't know, Mick, save me.
You were in so you're at NYU, then you went over to
Went to LA. Yep.
So you hustled. You had to go work ethic, sending out your.
Well, so I sent out those headshots. I got one call out of 800, and the one call was.
So when you said you send out 800 headshots, you had to like lick an envelope and
Yep.
wow.
Yeah.
800 times.
You were looking for an agent at the time?
Yeah, I was just looking for an agent, and that was it. So it was a piece of paper that was your resume. It was stapled to the back of your headshot. Put it in a manila envelope, sent it out, 800. I got one call, and the guy goes, "Hey, are you really 6'3"? And I said, "Yes." And he goes, "Well, you're too tall for car commercials," and then hung up the phone. So I had to regroup and figure out what the fuck I was going to do with my life. And so at that time, Staples Center was about to open. And I applied for a job at because the first couple of jobs that I had in
It's
LA.
like Staples Center bouncer. I'm gonna make a lot of money.
I thought it was right, and they were like, "We don't need bouncers here." You know, I was like, well, "What do you got?" And they were like, "Well, we need waiters for the luxury boxes." And I was like, "Oh," I was like, "The luxury boxes." I was like, "Who's up in there?" And they were like, "All the celebrities." Yes. And so I applied for a job. I got the job there. My first night, I'm in Staples Center. Was Bruce Springsteen was playing there. He opened up Staples Center, and you don't get your boxes assigned to you until like a couple hours before. So I go back in with the rest of the wait staff, and there was this black chick next to me, and she goes, "Who did you get?" And I was like, "Oh fuck!" I was like, "I got Ice Cube." So I got Ice Cube's box that night. And
Ice Cube wanted to see Bruce Springsteen?
Yeah,
Hell yeah, bro.
the rapper. But it was
What?
also the opening of Staples Center. So. Everybody just wanted to go and see the stadium too, so that was kind of a cool thing, you know. And look, Springsteen crosses
the
over.
boss, dog.
Come on,
I ain't a beauty,
Bruce.
but hey, you're all right. I get it. But an Ice Cube at the Bruce Springsteen
Hell yeah,
concert?
Ice Cube knows what's
Yeah,
up, man.
he does. He does know what's
Yeah.
up.
So you were bummed that you got Ice Cube?
I was because I wanted an agency, and so she goes.
Because you're racist and you don't think you would tip, or what?
No, I wanted an agency. I was trying to get a fucking agent. And so the
okay.
chick goes, "I think I get a bank." She goes, "It's a bank or something." And she goes, "It's called ICM." I was like, "Well, it was one of the biggest agencies in Hollywood." And I
Yeah,
go,
they dropped me.
"I'll switch you." And she goes, "No way. I love Ice Cube. That would be the greatest night of my life." And I was like, "Awesome."
Yeah.
And so in there was the presidents, all the agents. Who else was in there that night? Matthew McConaughey.
Steve Levine.
Like Kate Hudson. Like, it was wild.
All right, so talk about this. How'd you make the most of that moment?
So I went there and they said, "Look, we want you to take off it was like a half tuxedo type of deal, right?" And they were like, "Take this off."
Right as you walked in from the
Right as I walked in, the president of ICM goes, take this off.
so this is why you don't think Harvey Weinstein's such a big deal.
Right. And I was like, whoa, we're
Take
going,
it off.
we going shirtless
Show
here
us
or
that
whatever?
butthole.
No, he goes, look, you got the button down underneath it. Just pop it down a couple buttons. Make it look like you're not watching them or taking notes on them or whatever. Make it seem like you fit in with them. And he goes, "I'll tip you the biggest tip you've ever got in your life." And I was like, "All right, cool." And I go, "Why?" And he goes, "'Cause you're going to see people do drugs in here. You're going to see people have private conversations. You're going to hear shit and everything else. I can't make you sign an NDA in here because you work for the building. And just be cool, and I will take care of you, and we'll keep hiring you over and over again." So I was like, "All right, awesome."
Wow.
So I took it off, served
honey,
everybody that night. Kind of blended in with everybody. McConaughey was just like, "Hey man, have some tequila, man, have some things and whatever." So I'm raging with them at this point, right? But I'm also doing my job. So at the end of the night, he comes up to me and he gives me a tip for $2,000.
Holy shit.
McConaughey opened up his wallet and gave me everything in it. And he goes, "Hey man, what are you trying to do? You be an actor and blah 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 blah." And I was like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Look, man," and gave me advice. And he goes, "I'm going to give you a tip." He goes, take everything in my wallet, and just
Remember
pulls
the
out a
advice he
wad
gave
of
you?
cash. Yes. Stay true to yourself. And I mean, the McConaughey you know today was identical back then.
Really?
It was the same. "Hey, man, look in the mirror. Be your own journey."
It's like a Bazooka Joe comic that was from Austin.
It was like an egg roll or a fortune, and like a cookie where you're just like, "Oh, man.
Yeah.
If the guy behind you is tapping you on the shoulder, man, maybe turn around. Give him a, what's up?" or whatever.
When you
Like,
see
"All
a
right, cool."
moment, seize it.
Hey, have you
Right.
guys heard that it's a rumor that Woody Harrelson is Matthew McConaughey's brother?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have heard
Like
that.
half brother?
Yeah.
So it's confirmed that Woody Harrelson's father had a relationship with Matthew McConaughey's mother.
That's
when-
confirmed?
That's confirmed.
Woody Harrelson's
Woody Harrelson's
assassin father.
His father was involved in the JFK thing, and he was you can look that shit up. And he was an assassin. He was an assassin, but
Sicario Harrelson.
But Matthew McConaughey's parents were divorced and remarried like 2 or 3 times. So in between one of those, she had a relationship with Woody Harrelson's father. Then you start looking at those guys, you could see them being brothers too.
Yeah, and they're homies in real life. So
grew up like a town apart, like you know.
True
what I mean?
Detective season 1 is still to this day
fantastic.
the
That's
greatest, I think, single season of television ever made.
Yeah, we asked him when he was on the show about it because we were diehard fans of it and everything.
Did he remember you from?
Ghana?
Who knows, right? When
So you were up there.
When you're that famous, because I ended up hanging out with him 4 or 5 times throughout the years, and it was just one of those people that I just kept running into throughout my career. But when you're that famous and you meet that many people, you realize quickly, and especially from doing Drinkin' Bros and shit, when you're on daily and you're having guests on every single day, you don't really remember after a while.
Did you ever hear of Dunbar's number? Mm-mm. So Dunbar's number is this theory that you can only remember like 150 or 180 people, really, and that when that 100, let's call it 151st person, like enters your life, that you're kicking out your kindergarten friend or something.
Oh, that makes sense.
And then your kindergarten friend, but hey, don't you remember me? I'm Steve, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Then you're kicking out the most irrelevant person.
Yep.
You know what I mean? So
Yep.
it's like it's because we're supposed to like live in tribes and all that shit. And we're only supposed to be capable of about that.
I
many.
think that's true. The only person I met that's different, my wife can watch any movie and her facial recognition is weird.
Women seem to
Yeah.
be better like at names and dates and stuff like that. I
Yeah.
think their Dunbar's number is
I'm terrible at
I think
it.
it
So
might be
like,
181.
but looking back on it,
that up,
with like a
please.
McConaughey, for example, you can't feel bad that these people don't remember you or because
Oh no,
whatever-
no! I'm petty as shit. If I gotta
you?
introduce
Yeah,
myself
fuck that.
a 4th or 5th time,
Yo, I hate that shit. I hate that shit because I'm like just as famous as Matthew McConaughey, basically.
Clearly.
So I totally get what it's like.
Sure.
And like
Sure.
everybody's, you know what I mean? So you always got to say, hey, nice to see you. Yeah. That's what you have to say. Hey, good to see you. Because
Yeah.
if you say, hey, nice to meet you, like, we met. And it's like,
You gotta
all
say
right,
good to
bro,
see you
be
again.
fucking more exciting then.
Yeah, good to see you again. Good to see you again.
Actually,
Yeah, and it's like, we never met.
His
then they hit you with that one,
yeah.
fuckers.
well, his buddies.
Be more fucking memorable.
Well, a couple of his buddies, I went to go support. These guys were fighting in a regional fight, and I guess some of the guys had come to our show. We did this big show, and everybody came out, and it was awesome. And we did a meet and greet after. But like so many things are going through my mind. I'm producing the show. I'm performing in the show. There's a meet and greet. I'm worried about this crazy girl that's fucking up the merch. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
And then then at the fight, they're like, "Hey, Gerard." I'm like, "Hey, man, what's going on? Nice to meet you." And they're like, "We met. I came to the
Yeah.
show." And I'm like, "Sorry, bro."
Is that when I told you, nice to see you?
That's
Nice to
exactly
see
what
is
you
the
told
move.
me. You were like,
Nice to see you.
Dude, it's happened to me
It's
a bunch.
brutal,
I'm
man.
terrible at it, and like
Give me
I
a little
feel
grace,
awful.
man. Unless you're Matthew McConaughey, then fucking remember me.
Yeah, but that's the deal. So like you kind of accept it and move on with your life. You can never be salty about it, I think, because you're just meeting too many people at that point.
So ICM, they kind of book you off of that?
Yes. So what happened was maybe
And the McConaughey advice, sorry to go back to it. He was just like, be yourself, basically.
yeah, be true to yourself, man. Believe in yourself, and you're gonna have challenges, all this other stuff, and Again, it was the Oscar speech.
Yeah, it's a little woo-woo. Yeah, I dig it. I love it.
So he's never changed, by the way. For every
I like that. That makes me like him even more.
25 years later or whatever. But so after that, the next time I came in, they just kept renting me out over and over again. Other people that I was working with became jealous and all this because I was making a lot of fucking money. I mean, they were giving me $2,000-$3,000 every single night for these events, and I was partying with them.
So
So I had to hang out with them afterwards and clean up. But like most of the nights, you ended up getting rocks with these guys because not only is it your favorite celebrities, but you're asking advice.
You're young, good-looking dude. You're personable. You're
Right.
funny. Yeah,
but
you
you're
can
asking
hang.
people for advice too, where you're just like
Tall,
you'll never
great
get
voice,
access.
long penis.
I know, huge penis, hot wife, like all of it.
Yeah,
And,
which, by the way, if you get me a role, you can use.
yeah, of course.
And did I mean the penis? Did I mean the wife? The answer is yes.
The answer is yes, but at a place like Staples, you could get the whole realm of celebrities. Like one night with Sigourney Weaver, dude, and so like I got to sit down with Sigourney Weaver and
she
ask
look like
her
in
about
person?
acting. Beautiful,
In person, really?
beautiful. Yes, very tall. So like, I mean, she's probably 6 feet.
Sigourney Weaver.
No lie, yeah.
What type of body we talking about in Sigourney Weaver?
Great.
Really?
Yes. So Sigourney Weaver is great, but when you talk to her, it is a very serious conversation. And you're lucky for the advice and all that other stuff. Would it be a sweet hang in real life? Probably not. But for a 20-minute conversation to ask her about acting and everything else and blah, 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 it was great. So as this went along, 3 or 4 months later, there was this one agent who goes, man, you're fucking hilarious, dude. What do you do? I was like, I'm an actor. And he's like, oh, have you been in anything? And I was like, no, I just got out of NYU, and I'm looking for an agent. I can't get an agent, and blah, blah, blah. And he goes, here's my card. Come back to me when you've booked something, right? And I go, I'll tell you what. Just give me 5 auditions. If I don't book 1 out of 5, you never have to talk to me again. And he's like, all right, asshole, call me on Monday. So the first one I had an audition for, I forget what it was. Something big. It was something decent, right? Second one was the new guy. So I booked the second one, and it was, one of the leads in the new guy, and then they signed me the next day. And I got called during work at Staples Center, and I gave out all my tips, quit right there on the spot. And then a year and a half later, I was back in that same box, and somebody else was serving me, and it was somebody I'd worked with. And they were like, holy shit, dude, what the fuck? Yeah, you did it, dude. You made it. And it was cool.
Did you take all the money out of your pocket and then give it to them?
I did.
Did you give them advice?
I did, but it was only like 80. And I was like, look, I got 80. I don't have McConaughey money, but I got 80.
What was the new guy audition process like?
500 people. The role that I was up for was originally black. And so it was me and a bunch of black dudes, and I was like, shit, this must be the reverse.
There was
of it.
like a stud black dude bully.
There was, so they switched our roles. So when I got in there,
For people that don't know, the new guy. It is pull it up if you can. Dunbar's number.
I really love.
Dunbar's number is wrong. You can have more than 150 friends. Fuck you, fake news
Facebook?
media.
What are you talking about?
Liberal media always lying.
Up to 520 people.
Huh?
Up to 520.
I think that makes more sense. Yeah, that makes more sense for
right.
sure.
Yeah,
pull up,
I'm just going off
pull up the new
the old research.
A
Pull up the
poster
new guy
of it?
IMDb.
I believe it.
For
Yeah,
people
go
I
ahead.
can change.
Yeah.
I'm not married to things. You see that, guys?
Yeah.
I can fucking adapt.
In light of new information.
Yeah.
Sure.
Learn new information. All right, 520 is the new Dunbar's number.
That makes sense. For one, I thought we
That's what
thought
Delco
150
said.
was too. Delco's number seems more.
Delco's
Yeah,
number?
if you
Delco's
pop
number
up,
seems-
you just put that picture on the. There you go.
I meant the movie, not his headshot.
No, that's
Hell yeah.
that's from the movie, is what he's
Right.
pulling
People-
up there. But if you pull up the poster, that yellow poster there. that'll do
Damn,
it.
Ross, you were a good-looking younger man. Did any of
used
these
to be.
guys try to bang you?
I used to be.
in the
I
box
wish.
or what?
I wish. It was actually a pretty cool story though with those guys who did it, because the producers of that were 2 male models, and they were towards the end of their career, so they were pimps. They were just cool as shit, and so I ended up getting to shadow those guys for years and learn about the business. There's the movie. Boom, right there.
There he is.
What's the name of the star of it again?
DJ Qualls is the lead from.
DJ
He was
Qualls.
coming off a road trip at that point.
Yeah, road trip.
Yeah,
Pretty
and then
funny
Eliza Dushku was in it.
This is where I was
there's a bunch
first
of people. Zooey
introduced
Deschanel.
to DJ Qualls.
movie. Not road trip
Really?
Nah.
I had
I was
sex
kind of young with this.
with a girl.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
Road Trip was a great movie.
So for
And
our,
Eddie Griffin's in this too, right?
Yes.
That's like his mentor.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
And
it's
dude,
great.
my hotel room was next to Eddie's, and it was wild as shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, we shot it in Austin, so we were here downtown at the Omni for about 4 months, and back in these days when Hollywood rocked, they gave everybody a suite. You had an endless minibar, and then you had a per diem on top of it.
wow.
So, and that was on top of your salary that you were getting. So
Dude,
it was
Eddie
just
Griffin
like,
was great.
Great.
He was awesome.
Funny dude.
I
right?
loved him. I thought
he
he
had a
was
nice little run there, man.
He did. and then
Undercover Brother.
He lost his mind.
Oh, is that what happened?
Yeah, he lost his fucking mind.
Yeah.
He was with,
him, Martin Lawrence. They kind of seemed like they went the. Well, I mean, Martin Lawrence. I don't know what his situation.
Man,
is
he
now.
rocked
Crazy
that
talented.
oversized leather with the Kangol hard though, didn't he?
He did.
He
Yeah.
rocked that hard.
Martin Lawrence is a positive one. Like all of his shit was by his own choice. Whereas Eddie got into some financial shit and then had to make some other
Really?
decisions. And yeah, I mean, look, you start getting the lead in a movie. You can be the way you were, or you can just be a dick, and that's kind of what happened to him over the years.
He got a little full of himself.
Yeah, and
that's
then
a
it
shame,
cost him.
Not
but
like McConaughey. Look at McConaughey now, still killing it.
still the same
Stayed
dude.
Himself.
Same
Yeah.
dude. So that's kind of the gig with it. But you get to work with all these different personalities and all this shit. And especially in this movie, there was like 40 fucking cameos of celebrities. So every day there was a new
Who's
celebrity
the
showing up.
bitch now?
Yeah, but like Tony Hawk, Kool Moe Dee, Jermaine Dupri, Lyle Lovitz, Vanilla Ice was in that movie, like Gene Simmons. I mean, it was just every day was a new celebrity where you're like, holy fuck. So for that to be your first film and then get thrown in with the biggest people in the world and then to get to see what revolves around them and their personalities and all that shit, it was a good learning lesson in a great film school of either how to handle fame or how to handle your life and kind of
little crash course.
Both.
Like you got thrown right into the deep end.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
And then I got to shadow on that movie with the producers. I said, look, I want to learn everything, producing and writing and everything. And
That's interesting. So, and they let you do it.
They did. And they go, if you're serious, just come out to set every single day, watch, stay behind the camera, and you can learn, and we'll tell you anything you want. You can ask about anything. Wow. But if you want to know it, we're going to tell you. And if there's secrets, you got to keep secrets.
I think really your curiosity and willing to put yourself out there in these different spots is like it's one of the causes of your success. You know what I mean? You've been successful in everything you've done. From you were killing it in comedy, then you went into movies. Then you wrote a book. Now you're becoming the king of media over here.
Yeah, books, cool. Podcasts, all that stuff.
You just go full in. Just go full throttle.
Yeah, you have to, and then you've got to execute each one and be the best at it before you can move on to the next thing. Because even when I wrote Matt Best's book, was one of my best friends. And it was #1 in the world and all that other stuff. Like we went out that night and celebrated. Wife went to bed, and I was writing the next sequel for the St. James books. Like you kind of got to treat it like every other day. Yeah. Otherwise, everybody that I've met in my life who treats that one success like, yay, I fucking did it.
Yeah.
It's a long life, dude.
And that's your one success.
And it's a long life. You hopefully have a bunch of those. Otherwise, man, then you're the dude who's still hanging on in high school to,
Are you a process-oriented guy? How do you handle time management? You've got different things. You got family. You've got 3 different businesses that you're running. I mean, how do you compartmentalize what you're doing in a way that they can all grow as opposed to one dying on the vine so the other can succeed?
Kids come first, wife is second, and then the projects around it, right? You still got to keep the bank accounts going and all that stuff. So with Hard AF Seltzer, all those calls and meetings are in the morning before the podcast. When the podcast is on, phone goes down. When I'm doing a podcast, I'm fucking locked in Monday through Friday, 3 shows. I don't turn it back over until the show's over, unless it's something important from the school or something like that for the kids. And then at nights, I coach all their stuff. Same with on the weekends, and then I write at night. So I'll write from maybe 10 to 3 a.m. somewhere in there, and then I get up, take the kids to school, and all that other stuff. Right now, though, I'm currently not writing at night, so it's a different schedule.
So when do you consume the information that you need to then be able to podcast?
There is a good 45 minutes where my wife is sleeping and I'm next to her in bed, going through the phone, reading every article I can. I always tell people take 15 of your top your sites, right? News, entertainment, comedy, sports, whatever it is. That should be your wake up. That should be your go to bed. Anything, Twitter in particular for news. It's the fastest. It's as far as breaking news and all that other stuff. Be diligent about those 15 sites. Start the day off with that. End the day off with that. See what you've missed and
almost
made
like
up.
An intel briefing, like you're the president.
But that way, when you wake up and you go to work, you do podcasts. You got everything. You got everything you need to, and then if breaking, like with a computer, even that's always up, right? If there's something that's breaking and just happens now, great. Well, then the computer's here for the crutch as far as what's going on live, and then I can do something fun with the audience.
Well, that's not everything you need, because you also need to take care of your body, and that's where the wellness company comes in, Ross.
Yo, I just hit 2 of those digestive enzymes right after Ross regaled us with that amazing Texas barbecue. That's sitting like a brick. Yeah, I got them digestive enzymes in.
Are you familiar with the wellness company, Ross?
I am actually.
The wellness company is for people that are sick of the corporate medicine.
Yeah.
They want to get out of that pharmaceutical industrial complex. And this is where Dr. Peter McCullough, who you're clearly
Been
aware
on the
of,
show.
Dr. Peter McCullough sits on the board of the wellness company. And what he's done and what that board has been able to do is they have taken the profit incentive out of wellness, and they put the people first. They have everything that you need from a line of supplements. Mick was just talking about the digestive enzymes.
Those are probably my favorite. I love digestive enzymes. I take them every day.
Yeah, the digestive enzymes are really good.
Like eat a lot, and I want to absorb all those nutrients, and I don't want to feel like shit after. Yeah. So I feel like digestive enzymes are awesome for that.
They are. They have spike protein for people that are worried about the next thing that may come about, the next super flu. You have spike proteins that help your immune system. You have multivitamins.
Spike support.
Support. You've got multivitamins. And most importantly, for a low price, you can do a membership where they have consultations, one-on-one consultations, and they can actually write you a prescription with that consultation for an emergency med kit. It's a preparedness kit for the next pandemic. If you care about your health and if you want to perform at the best of your capabilities, you have to check out.
Those gummies are yummy too.
The Wellness Company. That's the
keep
Wellness
interrupting
Company.
you with my little plugs.
TWC. The Wellness Company at twc.health. twc.health. You can go to Slick and Thick at Slick and Thick Instagram and the Slick and Thick in the description here, and there'll be a link. Click on our link, and we'll be able to save you 10% on your first order.
Yeah,
What's
get
your
your
promo
immunity up.
Promo code is Slick and Thick.
There you go.
Slick and Thick at
with an N?
twc.health. Slick N.
The letter
thick.
N.
Not an ampersand as we have on all of our merch. Just Slick, the letter N.
Slick and thick.
But the Wellness Company, twc.health, and that'll keep high functioning individuals like yourself healthy.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
need
need
that
it.
shit.
That's what
I
you
need
need.
it, dude, every day.
What I need is to know about Accepted.
Sure.
What I find to be one of the funny movies, one of those like forgotten. We were talking on Candace and I when we did Normal World with Dave Landau, great guy. We were talking about like forgotten movies, and Airheads is a forgotten gem.
Yep.
Love that movie.
Yeah.
It's like we were talking about like movies you would go when you were like walking through a Blockbuster and it was like, we can't figure out what to get. Like, let's get this. Loved Airheads. You know, Tommy Boy was a great one.
Oh, yeah.
Accepted is one of those movies. Every time Accepted's on, I watch it. And I almost watch it just to see Jonah Hill. What he was.
Yeah,
compared
well,
to what he is.
he was fucking huge in that movie, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
and he somehow looks older then than he is now.
no, it's a strange case with him. He was well over 300 pounds in that movie. Like, I mean,
And a bad 300 pounds, not like Miles Garrett 295.
Exactly.
You know, like what was it when they said Donald Trump had the same BMI? What was it? He's 6'3", 275, and with like a 75 BMI, and they were like, all right, so this guy's in better health than Miles Garrett.
sure is. He was 215 in that Georgia mugshot, dude.
Yeah, 215. That's what it was. So Accepted. Tell us how that came
Me
about.
and Trump got the same numbers.
Same BMI.
Yeah.
We're like both like 6'3", 215.
Yeah.
So the funny story about Accepted was I didn't know I got it.
Pull it up if you can, Delco, for people that don't know.
That's the perfect pick right there. That's me
Justin
giving Jonah Hill
Long.
the drinks.
Yeah, Justin Long doesn't know if he can get in there. This is before they let anybody into college. Said everybody actually worried about getting into a college, and he doesn't know if he's going to get into college. So he does what anybody would do and just makes his own college.
And it looks like Mickey in that photo. Like it's like
We definitely
it's
could
like
be related.
Yeah, for sure.
Yep.
Yeah. Boom, boom, boom. But I mean, it's close.
Do it again.
It's pretty close.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucking close, isn't
Yeah.
it? God damn. Dude,
Is there a frame by frame with Ross and Jonah Hill?
man.
We could do the Spider-Man thing.
I know, right? Jesus Christ. So the funny thing about this one that nobody knows was my agent was on fucking drugs, like hardcore opiates, right? And so I didn't know until like he was kind of slurring on the phone a couple days. And this wasn't the same guy from ICM, by the way. I want to point that out for the audience, but different guy.
ICM's gone now, so it doesn't matter.
Well, all of them are gone, so it doesn't really matter. But
it's all WME all the time.
I know, and including the people we're working with now for the seltzer. But so with that, I go in, and there was a table read at the studio. Now, a table read is typically reserved for when you get the film.
Of course.
So I was confused.
For people that don't know what a table read is,
A table read is everybody's cast. You're reading the script out loud with the entire cast for the very first time.
Mm-hmm.
Writers are hearing it. They'll make changes off of it. Directors will kind of get facial movements and all that other stuff from the actors, and then adjust some of their shots later for the scripts. And you're getting ready to shoot.
it's almost
usually
like a
week
first
later.
draft rehearsal.
Correct.
Kind of be the way to.
Correct. So I show up for this table read, and the assistant called, and they were like, "Hey, you got this table read for that movie?" And I was like, "Yeah, man, I auditioned for that movie. I already did a screen test for it." And they were like, maybe they can't decide, you know? And I was like, all right. I was like, where's my fucking agent? Like, where is he?
Where's my money? I did work.
And she goes, I don't know where he is. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, that's not good. So I go, and it's Tom Shadyac over at Universal, who directed every single Jim Carrey movie ever. It's the dude, you know? And as a comedian and all that shit, love Jim Carrey. This is the guy, and he's producing this film. So we go to Tom Shadyac's studio. It's Shady Acres, and I'm like, it's a dream to even be there. And you're doing this table read. I do the entire table read with the entire cast, and then one of the heads of the studio walks up and goes, hey, so we're going to sign, contracts and all this stuff. I was like, oh, okay, cool. And they were like, yeah, we don't have a couple signatures here, like yours is one of them or whatever. And I was like, all right, cool. And I saw the casting director in the back, and I go, awesome, yeah, I'll totally sign it. So I go, hey, they're asking me to sign this. Does that mean I got the movie? And he was like, dude, you got the movie like a month ago. I was like,
fuck.
What? Wait, this story gets better.
Oh, my goodness.
I'm signing, and I'm signing next to, I think, Blake Lively and maybe Jonah. I forget the other two people, right? And I look over, and Blake's signing her contract, and she was, I think, just turning 19 years old, and I'm 28. So I immediately just changed my birthday because I didn't want the cast to not want to hang out with me, which is what had happened on The New Guy. Nobody wanted to hang out with the older people. So I was like, yo, dude. So I changed my birthday and lied and dropped it down like 5 years.
How old were you for The New Guy?
The New Guy was 23 or 4, I think. Accepted, I was 28. And so I lied about my age in case they saw it because I just wanted to hang with everybody at night. Because I was like, because it didn't affect my paycheck. So I was like, who gives a fuck, right?
I'd lie to hang out with Blake Lively too.
Yeah. I mean, look, Ryan Reynolds did. So here we are. But
I think that was Roofy.
Yeah.
He lied about it not being a roofie.
Let's face it. If there's a guy who doesn't need any help, it's Ryan Reynolds. He's fine.
So true.
He's fine. But
So true.
I get out of there. I'm amped that I got the movie. I don't know how much I'm making.
I might roofie Ryan Reynolds.
You could. Why not? But I don't know how much I'm making, all that other shit. And I call, and I was like, I don't care. I call the assistant. I go, I don't give a fuck. I got the movie. I go, I don't give a fuck where you have to find him. Get the agent on the phone.
Yeah, and he's not getting 10%.
Well,
Yeah. What?
he did because you signed the fucking contract. So at this point, he's awake and he's kind of normal and alert a little bit. And I go, hey, dude, what the fuck? I'm just at the studio and I just read for this movie. And I was like, I'm in it. Like, I got it. And he goes, oh, yeah, you got that a while ago. And he goes, by the way, yeah, you got this other movie too. And I was like, what the fuck? And it was the next movie that I did. It was this movie called House of the Dead. And I was like, what the fuck? And he goes, shit, I thought I sent that over to your house or we talked or whatever. And I go, no, we sure didn't. So
That's got to be so frustrating as such a driven person,
Yes!
good work ethic person like yourself, having
Pissed.
people just pulling you down. Oh, it's
But at the
fucking
same
worst.
time,
I booked 2 movies
this
the same
weirdo
day.
is getting the job done.
Yeah,
Like,
you're
do I
right.
fire him? Do I not
Well,
fire
wait,
him?
is
What's
he
going
getting
on
the
here?
job done, or are you getting the job done? And he's kind of the middleman.
Well, he did get the auditions, right? And so did the
Okay.
assistant, so I didn't know where to
He
place the blame.
presented you with the opportunity.
Right. So this was on a Thursday, and then Friday night rolls around, and he takes me out to this like crazy like Malibu restaurant. It was a sushi joint or whatever that was the hot thing at the time with like every celebrity and like, Pamela Anderson and all those fucking people going. I was like, what the fuck, bro? So like, I'm confused at this point as everything's going down. But this movie was like a 3-month shoot, and then I did House of the Dead after that, and something else or whatever. And by that point, I didn't actually get to go back in and see my agent in person for like 6 months, and he is just fucking. I mean, nuked.
He's oh really?
Nuked
He's
to
a
the
monster.
desk, and it's 11 a.m.
Got his head in the spaghetti.
Drooling.
Not great.
Drooling.
Not great.
And I knew he was going to get fired.
There he
soon.
is.
Yeah.
There's old Jonah.
Hey, Jonah Hill's last movie.
Who's that kid in the
I-
back? He's very funny too. He's been in a bunch of stuff.
Adam Hirschman. Yeah. Does a bunch of commercials now. It's very funny.
What'd you guys think of Jonah Hill's movie on Netflix?
The other guy, by the
Horrible.
way, real
Hated
quick,
it.
the
I
black
was really
guy in this,
disappointed.
Columbus
Eddie
Short.
Murphy.
Columbus Short was the one who had the affair with Britney Spears.
Who was?
The black guy in the
No,
photo.
really?
When did he have an affair with Britney Spears?
He was the dancer.
He was the dancer?
He was the dancer.
Wait, was that the Kevin Federline thing?
Yeah.
What are we?
Yeah, so it was after that, and he was the backup dancer for Britney.
Britney Spears was so gorgeous.
I never realized how much Jonah Hill looks like Stavros.
I don't know who Stavros is.
I think I do. A comedian.
Yeah.
I don't know his last name.
Yeah.
I know you're talking about that.
Yeah. Crazy.
Crazy.
How much if you don't mind my asking, how much did you make for these? It blew my mind. Everybody always thinks.
Yeah, can I see your tax returns?
Well, no,
For sure.
but listen, everybody always thinks UFC fighters make a shitload of money.
Yeah.
When I was playing baseball, people thought I made a lot of money. I was like, minor league baseball. Like, I make less than the janitors, which is true, by the way. And when I saw Terrence Howard talk about what he made on Hustle and Flow,
Well, that's an independent
what was
movie.
it?
It was nothing.
How much do you think?
Probably-
First of all,
probably
yeah.
60 grand.
60 grand? How do you know that he doesn't get any rights or royalties
No
for that
royalties?
song? It's in the
Hard out here
in the
for a
distribution
Yep.
company's name.
Correct.
The song went triple platinum. He didn't make $1 off of it.
Damn.
Soup to nuts. Again, this is just what he says. And now I know there's people that say he's a genius and other people say he's crazy. But soup to nuts, he said he made $14,000 for Hustle and Flow.
I believe it. So that was an independent movie. DJ was in it, actually.
Yeah, I
DJ
know.
Qualls.
Yep.
So I asked him about it, and he goes, we didn't make anything. I think the movie cost only $3 million to make, so they don't spend a lot of money on actors. And to answer your question, doing these big studio movies like Accepted, The New Guy, and all that other shit, yes, you make great money.
Oh, you do?
But when you do these independent movies, that blow up later,
Yeah.
you make nothing.
So you don't get residuals on him or anything like that?
You do, but it's based on your salary. So take a Terrence Howard. If you make 14 grand on Hustle and
Is
Flow,
that how much he made?
$14,000.
right. So your residuals are based on your salary. So like the reason why my residuals were so high for The New Guy and Accepted was salary was high, and then they kind of cut it in half over time. So let's take a director of a TV show. Those guys make about $50K an episode of directing television. When it re-airs, you get 25. When it re-airs, you get 12,500, so on and so forth. Well, if you're taking Terrence Howard, great, you made 14,000. When it goes to HBO, you get 7. After that,
Oh
you get
my
3,500.
God.
After that, then your checks are dollars. So like
Yeah.
with New Guy and Accepted and all that shit, me and my wife joke about this all the time. It's like, all right, cool, it's $186, and you're like, well, we can retire.
Gotten a couple of those $100 things, but that was, I think, the first one.
Yeah, Mick's been in two
That was
movies.
only
You've been in
that
two
was like
movies,
only
right?
the first one. That was like it's only I don't think they.
You were in that. You were in that movie with
I was
Post
in-
Malone and Mackie Wahlberg.
Yeah.
Oh, Mackie Max, Sick Ass Mackie Max, the jail movie.
Yes,
What's it called? Wonderland? No, Spencer Confidential.
Spencer Confidence.
Yeah, it was
Okay.
supposed to be called Wonderland. Spencer
Yeah,
Confidential.
they
If you
should have.
blinked,
They
you'd
should
miss
have
me
went
in
with
that
it.
one.
They should have went with the first title.
Yeah, if you blinked, you'd miss me. I don't think that would have saved it. But
Look,
and
I've
then
done a
I
lot
got
of
a whole
horrible
fight
movies,
scene
man.
in Born a Champion. Born a
Okay,
Champion. I'm in the trailer, like punching at the camera. It's cool.
that's dope.
I get beat up though, but it's it's acting.
And then
That's how good of an actor I am.
Well,
And you transitioned into writing then, right?
I did, yeah.
You transitioned into writing, producing. You made your own films. What made you want to leave being? Did you make that transition yourself? Is it something that you?
It was myself, yeah.
You decided that you wanted to be
Getting-
more in control of the creative.
Getting that offer for that college TV show at 30 was like, all right, I got to change my career at this point because you're still known as like doing teen movies
You were
and shit like
typecast, you
that.
feel like?
Yeah, but and look, I don't look at that in a bad way because a lot of actors will be like, oh, I was typecast. You make a lot of money being typecast, so enjoy it.
Yeah.
If like I will never bitch about that. However, your age at that point, you're like, if I don't change this narrative right now, I might never work again. So it was out of a necessity versus like, wanting to do it. Yes, I wanted to write and direct and produce and all that stuff. But I made the switch on my own. So after that day that I got that offer, I fired my agent and my manager on the same day. And they were okay at that time. Like I didn't have an issue with them, but I wanted to be forced into creating my own content, and that was the only way to do it. Was to fire everybody, and then that way it's on me. So either I'm going to do this on my own or I'm not.
The Sun Tzu, put yourself on death's door type of deal.
It's exactly what it was. And I can tell you, I remember exactly where my car was on Beechwood Canyon when I made that call, and it was pulled over, and it was scary as shit when I hung up the phone on the second one when I fired my manager, and he was like, "Good luck," and I was like, "All right."
You'll never work in this town again.
Not that, but you do independent movies and you don't know if they're going to do well. You don't know if they're even going to be seen. Because at that point, I'd done so many fucking movies that like back in the day, if you did a shitty independent, nobody bought it. They wouldn't even let you put a credit up on IMDb. So like there's probably 10, 12 missing credits on IMDb just because movies that I did or starred in never even got bought. Or it just was on a shelf somewhere.
Gotcha.
Still to this day.
Or it's like one of those phantom movies that a lot of people have where it's in pre-production for 5 years.
Right. Or post-production for 5
Post-production,
years
yeah.
where you're just like, all right, cool.
Wow,
what
this
the
guy's
fuck
working
is
in
this?
8 movies right now?
Yeah, but it's
Holy
like,
shit.
oh, well, he shot it 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
What's your favorite movie you've been a part of? Is it The New Guy?
No, I mean, look, I met my wife on a movie, so I'd be
Right.
remiss
So
if I
that's
didn't
your
say
favorite.
that one.
What's another favorite?
You made a movie where Danny Trejo's a murderous pool boy.
Yes. So like those movies were a
I love
fucking
Danny
blast,
Trejo.
dude. So do I. He was on the show a few months
I saw
back. He's
the
the best.
pictures of him over there.
Yeah, he's the fucking best. So I love all those movies like FDR American Badass and Pool Boy and all those things because like they were low budget spoofing 70s movies, and I mean the jokes were aggressive, the comedy's aggressive. All those people are super famous now that I cast, and I was amped about that, and I enjoyed those the most. If you're looking at what I learned the most off of and had the most fun was probably The New Guy because it's the last
Kevin Sorbo
Yeah.
as Ben Stiller.
Exactly. And
I gotta see
this you
this.
were spoofing
I gotta see
a
this.
movie from 1990 in this one.
Did Playboy sue you for the usage of their font?
They sure didn't. on
Yet.
that one.
Yeah,
Come on,
quiet,
Playboy.
Gerard.
Break me off, Playboy.
Shut up, Gerard.
Yeah, exactly. Well,
Cut
Universal
that part out, guys.
Universal bought this movie, so they did the trailer. I mean, they did the poster and all that stuff, so you can call Universal. about
Drowning
that.
out the fury. This
Yeah.
is a great poster.
When it's ridiculous, over the top. There's boom mics in the shot. There is
Look at that.
ad libs that shouldn't be
that
there.
gun.
Bad sound on purpose.
Does
There's,
that gun have a boom mic on it?
No. Who knows? But they just give him the dumbest shit possible. And when Trejo's movie of Machete blew up, they put the fucking machete in his hand
I saw that.
Yeah.
That's hilarious.
for around the world, for
That was
overseas.
a good movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. But those were a blast. New Guy was for a different reason. I mean, it was old school Hollywood where you got all the money, did all the things, they had to fly you first class. You're doing a fucking teen movie in a major city like Austin, and everybody's still excited about movies and filmmaking and extras and all that stuff where that doesn't really exist anymore.
Yeah, how do you feel about the kind of the nature of Hollywood right now, or the current state?
It all sucks all the way around. And I think these days, if you watch a great film, you almost feel lucky that you got to see a great movie where you're like, holy shit, because of how many hands are in the pot and, going back to storylines and everything else of racial, characters and what's the race of the character, what's the gender, what's the thing. And like, it used to be just about the story. So when you see something sneak through that blows up, like The Bear, for example.
Yeah.
There's a way.
The Bear?
The Bear, yeah. The TV show The Bear. It was about the chef.
That's with the kid from Shameless.
Jeremy Allen White, yeah.
Okay.
When you see something like that blow up,
You got to give credit where it's due. The last two Guy Ritchie movies have been fantastic.
what was his last
The one with
movie?
Matthew McConaughey, I thought was very
What was
good.
it? Oh, The Gentleman.
The Gentleman, I thought
like
was
that.
very good.
I
I
haven't
still
seen
haven't
The
gotten through
Gentleman,
The Covenant.
I
That's
love
a good
The
one.
Covenant.
Okay.
You and I
I gotta
disagree.
get
I
through
think
it.
The Covenant is
Well, I'm not saying
masterful.
it's bad.
Really
but
good.
I saw like parts of it on flights. I need to get through it. I've seen the first 30
Covenant
minutes
is
like 3
powerful.
times.
It's a powerful film, man.
But a
Yeah.
great movie that I just watched was Don't Worry, Darling, and that was fucking awesome.
I haven't seen that one. Which one's that?
It was Harry Styles. Harry Styles sucks in it, but it was Harry Styles, Olivia Wilde.
what was the last good
Florence
comedy that you
Pugh.
saw?
Last good comedy I saw was in 2009, probably. I'm kidding. I
No,
mean,
seriously.
It's not
far off.
it's not far off at all.
I feel like the only decent
Super
comedy
bad.
out right now is either on YouTube or, believe it or not, the BBC's doing some funny stuff.
Oh well, they've always been.
BBC's doing
They've
some
always
What
been
are
doing
some of
funny
the
stuff.
some of the blockbuster comedies that come out in the past few years? So maybe because I'm sure there's something slipping our mind, but I can't think of.
No.
of
The last
shit.
one that was like halfway decent was, I think, The Bubble. Judd Apatow was, at least it was self-aware.
Who is the kid from who's in The Bear again from Shameless?
Jeremy Allen White.
So he's gonna be in a movie. I saw the
Yes.
Napoleon movie, the
Yeah.
Von Erich one.
Yeah.
Bro, that's gonna be sick.
The
That's
Iron Claw.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's gonna be. I think that's gonna be. They also have like Zac Efron. And
Best
like, a couple
trailer
other
I've
people.
seen this year.
Yeah, I think that's gonna be sick.
Same here.
I think it's gonna be sick.
Same
You know
here.
about,
But-
you know about the Von Erichs, right?
It was pretty. Yeah, you know what's pretty funny? I'm thinking about it. What's the one with Brad Pitt, the Japanese remake on the train?
Oh, on the
Train?
train, Bullet Train.
I thought
Bullet
that was
Train,
pretty
yeah.
funny.
I like Bullet Train.
I thought, yeah, it was
I
interesting.
thought that was Guy Ritchie-esque.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was interesting.
You know?
It was better than I thought it would be.
But it's not a comedy. So if you're looking for true comedy,
Yeah, like a true comedy, like a Super Bad or a
Wild Hogs, probably. I'm kidding. No. The last one that I remember sitting in a theater laughing my ass off like to no end was probably MacGruber. To be
MacGruber
honest
was
with
funny.
you,
And that's
I
got
never
the
saw
group has
it.
got to be 10 years old.
has to be.
Has to
feel
be
like
at least 10 years
What
old.
is the Hangovers?
They're almost 20 years old.
They're almost
20
yeah.
years old, right?
yeah.
No.
Yes.
Ross
No
was a
way.
big fan of
The first
Bros.
Hangover's got to be almost 20 years old.
Of what?
Of which one?
Ross was a really big fan of Bros.
Oh God, damn it,
yeah.
dude! No,
Now we're
Bro,
talking,
I was
baby.
not 10 years old when The Hangover came out.
yeah.
It's got to be
way.
16 years old. You were probably 16.
I think the first
I-
one came
maybe I
out in
was
like
16.
08. 2008, probably.
If only we had a guy
That'd be
sitting
wild.
at a computer.
Well, you're asking to do
we're
a
asking a lot from you.
there.
Yeah.
You're asking
You're a
to do
lot nicer to your producer than Gerard is to ours.
Hey,
If
Gerard
they
expects
get
a
it
lot.
right, if they get it right, I'm nice.
if you give the slaves an inch, okay?
They will
We're talent
revolt.
too. How dare you?
Exactly, they are talent. They're on the show. Yours are too, though. Your producers are on the show.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I'm messing with Delco because he's 20 pounds heavier than the last time I saw him, and
He's bulking. It's bulking
bulking.
season.
He's
It's bulking season for
Yeah.
Delco. Yeah.
yeah, he's impressed
What
enough.
was
with,
the year there?
Delco's impressed enough with his pecs and his buys that he went full fucking sunning with his hair. So I mean,
Yeah. What
was the year for The Hangover?
Hangover.
2009,
yeah.
bro.
Yeah, when you
Nailed
guys
it.
said it. Yeah.
Nailed it.
15 years, man.
Nailed it.
Fuck.
And they're talking about making another one.
Is it coming back, Ross, in your mind, or is that
No.
medium dead?
I think. Oh yeah.
I think if it's gonna come back, it'll be on a streamer, not in a theater. And the reason why is they don't sell overseas. I sat in a meeting once with
Everything's China now, huh? China
well-
and India.
But overseas as a whole, including Europe. So like I went to Cannes at a movie there in like 2011, and I sat with all these buyers from all over the world, and it's 2 buyers per country. They buy up all the movies and everything else. And I had this conversation with one of them at dinner, and I said, "Hey, why aren't comedies doing well overseas?" Like, because at that point, Anchorman had come out. Huge hit in the United States, made $3 million overseas.
Sure.
Wedding Crashers had come out, made $5 million overseas, and it was like, all right. I saw the way that it was going, where you had to have the overseas total in it, and I go, what am I missing here? And this woman goes, translation, and I was like, explain it to me. She goes, every country has 2 translators per American movie. So when you see a movie like The Wedding Crashers. It's Vince Vaughn's cadence that gets you in his delivery, where he's just like, we're going to go down the sword light. I don't give a fuck. And the translation is somebody in Italian going, oh, yes, we're going to go downtown and leave. And it doesn't resonate the same way.
Sure.
Yeah. Doesn't.
Neither
makes
does
a ton of sense.
Anchorman or Will
Interesting.
Ferrell or anybody else. And it didn't dawn on me until then. I was like, oh, shit. And because financially they don't make as much money as dramas or everything else, they're always been pushed to the back burner.
Yeah, I mean that makes a ton of sense because even doing comedy in different cities, there's things that you'll tell a joke in New York that gets raucous applause. You say the exact same joke in Southern California and nobody will laugh. There's culturally relevant things. Even us talking with people like from around, like nobody knows what, Scott meant, like everybody around us knows what that means, right? So like there's people that'll find Sebastian Maniscalco hilarious, and then there's people in the Midwest that are like, I just don't get it.
Right.
So I understand the cultural subjectivity of that. However, you can still make a movie that has regional success, North America. Just you don't need to. I don't understand why you need to spend $30 million to make a comedy. Like, why can't somebody make a comedy for $1 million, have that comedy make $25 million instead of $200 million, and be like, this is still a pretty good investment?
Because it doesn't look like The Hangover. It doesn't have that look, the feel, all of it. And
Does
you
it
still
have
need
to?
that. And then you got to pay the talent on top of it. So, yes, in my opinion, it does.
So you're telling
at
me
this
you
point.
can't make a comedy for $1 million anymore?
In today's world, no.
Why does it work for horror?
Oh, because horror is horror, right? It's always dark. You don't need names. You don't care who's getting killed or chopped up in any of those. Whereas today's comedy is just totally different. Is there breakout successes under $1 million? Yeah, you're going to have a Napoleon Dynamite occasionally. You're going to have
I thought
those
that
movies.
movie was ass, by the way.
Really?
I did not like it whatsoever. I did not find it funny.
It's
Vote
very
for Pedro.
specific. Yeah, vote for
Yeah.
Pedro. It's very specific, but that's the thing with comedy too. Is exactly what he just
a little
did.
subjective.
It's subjective.
So
like
he can't see himself in any of the characters, so it doesn't resonate.
but that's a lot of people.
Well, yeah, I mean, but Rex Kwon Do is objectively hilarious.
Yeah, yes.
That's the
Yeah.
like the father, the stepfather. Or
No,
something
Rex,
like that?
grab my hand.
The dojo, the guy in the
Guy in
dojo.
the very
Yeah.
funny guy from the Drew Carey show. What the
Yeah.
hell's his name? That guy's hilarious. I agree with you, but like the uncle, I'll throw it over there. But there's funny bits in that movie. But if I paid, $18, that's another thing. You could have an okay comedy when it was a $5 matinee to go see a film, be like, it was kind of funny. But now when it's $50 to go to the movie theater, you're like, this better be the funniest fucking movie
Right.
I've ever seen in my life.
And let's take the two that came out last year. You got Burt Kreischer's movie, The Machine.
Did you see it?
I have not yet.
I have not
forgive
either,
me.
and I feel bad about it. I love Burt.
I heard it's on Netflix
really
now.
Cool
I'm going to check it out. But
It's on Netflix?
Yeah,
All right,
now it
we'll
is.
check it out.
But if you look at that, I think the budget was 12. I think it made 8 in the
There
box
he is.
office.
Rex Kwon Do.
Rex Kwon Do right there.
Okay, he was in Napoleon Dynamite.
Yes.
Sure was.
Like a real quick cameo where he is
You guys
there.
both dug Napoleon Dynamite?
Love it.
Found it funny?
Love it.
Really?
Yeah.
I found
I might need
bits.
to
I
rewatch
found
that shit,
the whole movie's a hard watch. But there's like in a meme way, it's hilarious. I love it in a meme, like little bits and pieces. But like, I'll give you a perfect example
I
of
loved
a movie
Anchorman.
that I loved back in the day. But if it came out today, I'd be like, this is so dumb. And that's like Night at the Roxbury. Like Night at the Roxbury is a 2-hour
rewatched that.
SNL skit.
Sketch, yeah.
You know, and if I had to like pay $14 a month to see this, I would be very disappointed.
Yeah.
But when I was a kid, I loved it. I also don't know what happened where like when I was younger, all those Jim Carrey movies, I loved them. Ace Ventura,
Adam Sandler
I
movies?
loved them. You know, I loved Something About Mary. I just rewatched it like couple months back, and I'm like, why did I love this?
Yeah.
What about this that I love? Like, why does this not? And then there's other movies. Every time I watch Old School, I'm like, this is funnier than it was last
School,
time.
phenomenal.
Every time I watch Forgetting Sarah Marshall, there's something else I find.
Agreed. I love that
I
movie.
feel like those two movies are like
Superbad, Pineapple Express. I mean, there was a run in the
40
2000s.
Virgin, all those Judd
So
Apatow.
many.
There was such a run in the 2000s.
So I think there's gonna be a
think
bounce
that
back.
audience just disappeared?
No.
That's
No,
the
I
thing.
think there's going to be a rubber band effect. I think it's going to come back. I think people are going to be this woke. People are going to be over the woke shit, and they're going to want to see the fucking raunchy comedies. You know what I mean? The
I hope
shit you're
so.
talking about, the shit we like.
But can it? But where does the investment
you know,
come
nothing
to
held
make
too
them?
sacred.
That's what you're saying is the
Correct. So like they'll do it in television. Danny McBride's still able to get away with it on HBO with Righteous Gemstones.
How is that show? I've never
It's
seen
very
it.
funny.
It's great.
Very funny.
Really?
Vice
Very
Principals was great. Eastbound
I did
and
not.
Down
I
was
did not
great.
like
Love
Vice
Eastbound.
Principals.
Really?
I didn't like Vice
I
Principals.
loved Eastbound. I watched a couple episodes of Vice or Vice Principals.
Eastbound and
and I fell
Down.
out.
It's
So
hilarious.
Vice Principals
Unbelievable.
changed for me on episode 3, where like the first 2 episodes I didn't really know what was going to happen, and then episode 3, Danny McBride and Walt Goggins burned down the principal's house to the fucking ground, and they're walking out, and he goes, "Holy shit! We just burned her fucking house to the goddamn ground!" And I was like, you see it smoldering in the background. You're like, holy shit. And then I think, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but then they go back like at the end of season 2, which is only 2 seasons.
Yeah.
They go back at prom and a fucking live tiger, the mascot, gets loose and murders fucking 5 teachers and students and shit at prom. And you're like, what the fuck? Like, it's
What do you
a
like
slow
more, Vice
burn.
Principals or Righteous Gems?
2 totally different shows, same actors though.
I love Danny McBride. Know who also reminds me a lot of Danny McBride? Shane Gillis. You know the comedian Shane
Yeah,
Gillis?
yeah,
He's down
yeah.
here in Austin.
Now?
Yeah, he just moved down here.
Oh, no shit. I
Yeah,
didn't
he
know
was
that.
in New York. Yeah, he just moved. He's mad cool. He would text me anytime he was going to the Jersey Stress Factory.
Okay.
But I've seen him there once before. I think he's mad funny, but he reminds me so much of Danny McBride. It's like they got that same kind of humor.
Yeah.
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 I checked if he was going to be at the fights, but he's not going to be there.
Well, I mean, look, talent-wise, it's still out there. So you have all the talent
And the
out
audience
there.
still
the
wants
audience
it.
is still there. Stand-up's been bigger than ever. Podcasts are bigger than ever, comedy-wise.
Yeah.
So there's no reason it couldn't happen. It just depends on the executives and like who you're going to piss off and everything else. And when you're on that huge of a stage now, you make one false move and you're fucked.
This is where rich people fucked up and they're breaking the social contract. The idea is you have a ton of money, like way back to forever. Like when the Medicis had to give Michelangelo hey, go, here's a couple dollars, go make some dope shit at the Sistine Chapel. You know what I'm saying? Like if you are a rich dude and you're anti-woke, if you're like you don't even got to be Elon Musk. Look, you got $10 million in the bank, bro. Just give $500,000. It's what your freaking annual return on your portfolio is, and just be a patron of the arts. So here you go, man. once a year, I'm gonna give the fucking Save Comedy grant to these two people and you're going to go ahead and make a $500,000 comedy film. And one of those films will make $25 million. And then all of a sudden, everybody's going to get back in. It's a follow the leader business.
Yeah.
We just need somebody, maybe somebody listening to this. We need somebody to say, dude, here's the check.
Hit Gerard up. He's got some good ideas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Viking you and pickleball. Let's go immediately. They're yours. Yeah. And yeah, man. I don't know. Look,
You say Viking you?
yeah, Viking you.
Viking you.
Viking you.
Yeah.
Viking you.
I don't know about Viking you.
Yeah, Viking you.
Viking you.
Everybody knows Viking you, dude.
Viking
I don't know
is-
why
Viking you,
you're
bro.
giving your ideas away, but what's Viking
I call
you
dibs.
about?
That's
Yeah.
legally binding. I call
Well,
dibs.
Yeah.
don't tell the story, but
Yeah.
nobody knows the Viking you.
Yeah, I think it's got to come back, and our culture is dying to like laugh, man. Our culture's just it's like a pimple that just won't pop. Everybody's walking on eggshells all the time, and then you get the edgy boys, the edgelords that are going out of their way to say like ridiculous things, you know, like, and this is where the prank stuff comes in. It's like, oh, you can't do anything anymore. It's like you punch somebody in the face. It's not a prank. Ah, you don't know comedy. It's like you just punch somebody in the face. That's not
Right.
comedy, you know. And then it gets all lumped in together. It's garbage, man. I hope it comes back. I don't know. I mean, what are you know? You're in podcasting now.
Mm-hmm.
You're not doing films anymore.
No, I haven't for a while, actually. The last movie we did, I think, was in 2019. And these guys, Delco and them, always asked me, like, do you miss it? And I was like, no. It was, at the time, it was awesome, right? But you got to know when you're done with it. And I think if you hang on to that shit for too long, I mean, I was lucky that I found something I love to do every day, which is podcasting. And then you build this huge audience. And I think I would be an asshole if I just left for 3 or 4 months and shot a movie. Then I would abandon all the people that got me all of this shit today. So luckily, I don't think about it or I don't miss it or anything like that. Now, is there projects that I would still like to be made? Yes. There's 2 left on the bucket list. If those got made, it would be great. But the rest of it, no. If you called me with a part in fucking... The Office reboot or something. It's just zero interest.
I think a lot of people don't realize like how annoying the job is too.
What
of just
would
sitting around all day
Get you
waiting.
back, like a Tarantino movie or something like that. Like, what would it be for you? Like, your
Yeah, but
personal
you
interest?
also have to be realistic about who you are. Like Tarantino's not going to call. You know what I'm saying? So it would be something that I did. Like the St. James Street James books I think would be massive if those went to the big screen. And then I adapted. Many years ago, God damn, it's been 12 years. I adapted the Beastie Boys music video Sabotage into a film. And I got the director of Black Dynamite signed on, and then I got it to the Beastie Boys. I got it to Adam Yauch. And he loved it and signed off on it. And then he ended up passing away about 6 or 8 months later.
Oh wow.
So the movie just died.
He didn't finish the job. It wasn't like a Heath Ledger thing, how it could blow it up.
No. It was still in a script.
Was it gonna be like a biopic?
Yeah, so
type
we
of a
haven't
deal?
shot it. No, you remember the movie, the music video Sabotage,
course.
right?
Yeah.
It was those characters brought to life. So
Okay.
it was all of them, and then you were doing this 70s, cop movie. Exactly like the music video, you're just bringing those characters to life again, but it was a comedy, and he had loved it. Danny McBride had read it, he had loved it, and there was some other people, and it took, goddamn, even to get to that
Damn,
point,
that
it was
would've
like
been cool.
3.5 years to get to that point. So, yeah, that would be rad, and that's not something that I'm speaking out of school. Like if that got made now, great.
Well, I mean, and also I think distribution's changed, right? Like the idea of making something, bringing it to a festival, yeah, it gets distribution, and then you're gonna make a ton of money once it gets distribution.
It's incorrect.
Yeah, that's something.
It's going to streaming. And now everybody wants it to be on streaming. And I'm with you, by the way. Like, I want to see things on streaming too. But the problem is the audience is paying now $20 per app or streaming app. And they're like, fuck you. I don't want to go pay for this on iTunes. I don't want to pay for it on Amazon. I want to see this on Netflix or in the theaters.
Yeah.
It's one of the two now.
Yep.
There's no in between. You're not going to get somebody to buy an indie movie on Amazon or iTunes right now and support you.
Yeah.
They're going to be like, hey, this happened in 2019 with my last movie. It was a concert film for Drinkin Bros, and it's streaming. It exploded at that point. And everybody, audience-wise, was just like, hey, man, so when's this coming to Amazon? When's it coming to a thing and a thing and a thing? And it was just like, shit. We didn't make any money off the thing.
Yeah. I have a friend of mine who was an executive producer and an actor in a film that won Sundance. And him and his partner both mortgaged their houses, put $250,000 up to make this thing. They made a great film. It's a drama. It definitely is not going to sell abroad. It's a great story, incredibly well acted, and they got distribution. I believe it was Amazon. And it was a flat fee of $250,000.
Yep. That's exactly what it is. So my best friend just went to Sundance. Movie crushed in Sundance, got bought in Sundance. Movie was shot for $100,000. They gave him $100,000 for it. Ended up on Hulu. And no one has seen it, and it's just kind of disappeared.
Although they both have since gotten very good jobs in the industry.
Same with him. By the way.
Yeah.
So he got great jobs.
Yeah.
But that movie
is dead. And he broke even for what essentially was 3 years of his life.
And that's the problem.
That's the problem.
Yeah.
So I mean, how do you solve that distribution problem?
You can't. The audience is either going to solve it for you, the studios will solve it. But right now,
And there's no money on YouTube doing this stuff. And if you tried to put it out there, they'd probably kill it anyway.
Yes. Logan Paul learned that too. There's a movie called The Thinning that he starred in, and he'd gotten canceled, I think, over the Japanese forest thing or whatever it was, and then he bought back the rights and actually released it on his own YouTube channel. It didn't make any fucking money, and he's not doing movies anymore. He's the new heavyweight champion of the world.
Well,
in wrestling.
Fighting Rey Mysterio.
At the end of the day, we all need money. Don't chase your dreams. Finance them. And that's why we've partnered with BetUS.com.
Oh, here we go.
Here at BetUS.com.
All right, you go ahead. You go ahead.
Please.
No, you go ahead.
Here at BetUS.com, if you use code ST125, that's ST125, you're going to get 125% of your first deposit.
Guys, before BetUS wises up and changes their mind, take advantage of this.
Have to.
What are they, silly?
So if you put $1,000 in, Mick, if you put $1,000,
Yeah.
that means that you would have $2,250 to play with.
Yeah.
And then if people listen to you and Mick's picks 2 weeks ago and bet Brendan Allen, you would have taken
What do you hate money?
that $2,250, and that would be $3,500.
You like being broke?
And then if you took my Thanksgiving lock, Dallas minus 13.5, you would then have that.
And if you took half of mine and Gerard's picks last week, if you took one of my picks, the Eagles, and you took one of Gerard's picks,
I don't remember.
not the Raiders,
Not the
whatever
Raiders.
your
Yeah,
other one was,
the Raiders.
whatever
blew
your
it.
other
Yeah.
one was,
But the other one.
you could have had even more money.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Within the last 3 weeks, if you listen to us and you deposited $1,000, you started a new BetUS.com account, deposited $1,000.
Would have had probably about 10 G's.
With the
off your
code
$1,000 investment.
ST125, we would have turned your $1,000 into $5,000. I don't know if that's
I think
interesting
about 10
to you.
G's if they put a little bit on everything.
And we're going to help them more because we're
We
adding
brought in a ringer.
Sure did.
college football to this week's BetUS picks.
Yeah.
Ross, give us your college football
Here
locks
we
of the week.
go. Lock of the week. Louisville over Florida State tomorrow night. Louisville's
I like that bet. Florida State lost
getting
their
2.5.
quarterback.
Florida State lost their two starting quarterbacks.
Oof,
They're still favored somehow. I don't know how. Louisville's coming off a loss. A Louisville all in on this one. I've already bet this, so I dropped $1,000 on this one. This is my biggest bet of the weekend. Louisville is my lock over Florida State tomorrow night.
Do you know if you took that $1,000, put it into BetUS, now you bet $2,250.
No. 125%.
$2,250.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Use code ST125, 125%.
But yeah, you only get that if you use ST125.
Yeah.
SNT?
ST.
ST125. Slick, thick, 125.
125.
Boom.
Get that money.
So
All right.
that is my lock of the week.
Louisville over Florida State.
Louisville of the week in college football, and I'll give you one lock of the week in the NFL.
Go for it.
'Cause I'm going to take you guys to dinner. We've had you in town all week, and I'm going to take you guys to dinner after this. Here's how confident I am.
Yeah.
That's why I'm taking you guys to dinner, because I've got the 49ers plus 3.5
Wow.
over the Eagles.
Wow.
I'm sorry,
Well, they're
Delco.
-3.
No, 49ers are actually. They're
No,
minus
-3.
3. I'm sorry.
Minus
Yeah,
three.
the Eagles
yeah.
are +3.
Correct. So I'm taking the 49ers in this one.
It's a good bet.
And look, Philly's been
They've been like,
riding on the edge here. They have 5 straight weeks of comebacks
by the skin of their teeth.
10 plus points. Chase Young's addition to the defense over there, those guys are animals. On my show, whenever it's 3, I always buy half a point to be safe because I don't want to push. So I'm going to take 49ers minus 2.5, and I will buy that half a point.
It's in Philly, though.
It is.
It doesn't scare you, West Coast coming East Coast.
It does not. It's not for this one. I think the Eagles... Oof. This could be the NFC Championship here as well.
It would be a shocker, although Dallas is coming on strong.
They are, but let's face it, it's Dak Prescott. He's going to fuck it up eventually. But I got the 49ers in this one. Not that I don't believe in the Eagles, but you can only go so many weeks doing that shit in a row where, now you're going up against arguably the greatest defense in the NFL, and it's going to be tough.
How crazy is that, the tush push they do?
Nuts.
You can't stop it.
It's so fucking automatic.
You can't stop it.
I'm sorry. Do it yourself.
I know. And every time I do it yourself.
Anyone that has a problem with it, do it yourself.
No,
I'm saying it's dope. I'm a Giants fan. It's fucking amazing.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, though.
Next year,
well, they're going to make it illegal next year. I'm also...
You think? It was illegal when Reggie Bush did it to Matt Leinart against Notre Dame. I remember I was pissed.
But they counted it.
They counted it.
Oh, yeah, it worked, but it was like
I just would be careful doing that in the playoffs when they let the guys play old school football a little bit again. And I don't know how many times you want your quarterback in that dog pile.
Jalen Hurts squats 600 pounds.
Yeah.
Okay.
He's fine in that one. It's running around the end that's going to get him eventually. But those are my 2 locks of the week there. One for college, one for the NFL. And then tonight's game is a big one. You got Oregon going up against Washington, 9.5's a lot of fucking points there.
Bo Nix, Penix, who you got?
But I think Oregon wins this game.
Yeah.
And they will go to the CFP. And they'll probably play Georgia in the national championship.
This is essentially a play-in game for the...
It is.
You were saying
Tonight's
something
a
about
playing
being
game.
so confident, something about dinner tonight?
Yeah.
What were you saying about it?
I said if I win this bet, I'll buy dinner tonight.
Oh, shit.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah.
Which bet was that? That was which one?
That was Louisville tomorrow night.
All right.
So yeah.
Love
Man,
it.
I've
you're
never
in
been a
town till
Louisville
Monday.
fan in my
You're in
life,
town till Monday.
but never been a Louisville fan in my life. But,
Until tonight.
Yeah.
Until today.
Let's go, Lamar Jackson, alma mater.
Yeah.
Mick's Picks is brought to you by BetUS.com. Mick, who you got in the UFC this week?
All right. Let me. Can we pull up the card real quick? I'm gonna start from the top like we normally do. And now, actually, Delco told me that Beneil Dariush fighting Arman Tzarkian. That's the main event. We're gonna be there tomorrow.
Love me some Dariush.
Beneil Dariush is an underdog in this fight. Beneil Dariush has great takedown defense. Arman Tzarkian's a wrestler. He's going to be looking to take him down. I think Beneil's a more polished striker, more experienced guy. I would hammer Beneil Dariush as was it a 250 underdog? Then
He was like plus 230.
230. All right.
I mean,
so
yeah, take that.
A 2-1. 2-1. Yeah,
Plus-
I think we're gonna hammer the underdog Beneil Dariush in the main event. We're gonna be out there cheering for Benny.
Sarukian's already busy getting in fights in the hotel lobby with Bobby Green.
With Bobby Green, right?
Yeah.
And now, all right. So that brings us to actually. So yeah, we're going with Beneil Dariush for mixed picks in the main event. That brings us to the co-main event, which is now Bobby the King Green versus Jalen Turner. Now Turner missed weight against Dan Hooker.
Missed weight today by a pound, I think.
I heard he made weight.
Oh, he went back and made weight?
I think he made weight.
Okay.
Yeah, but that must have been brutal. I feel like, there's something weird where sometimes you come in on the short notice fights and it's an advantage. Sometimes it's a disadvantage. I think a guy who, like Jalen Turner, who must cut a lot of weight, it's going to make it a little bit of a disadvantage. I think Bobby Green is must-see TV, but I'm going with Jalen Turner. Ooh. That's my pick. What do you think?
I mean, I like Jalen Turner until they interviewed him this week. And
what happened?
He was like, they kind of like forced me into this.
Is that what he said?
He's like, I didn't really want to take this fight, but here I am.
Looks like I'm switching my mixed pick. No. I'd kind of rather root for Bobby Green, but I'm going with Jalen Turner for this fight.
Do you think if Bobby Green wins this, he can go on some type of like Jorge Masvidal type like?
Absolutely, very reminiscent. Very reminiscent of him. Submitted Tony Ferguson in his last fight, and I know people are down on Tony, but submitting Tony Ferguson is not an easy thing to do.
No, he knocked out Dawson his last fight.
Oh, right. Correct. The one before that. Yeah, no, he's on a run, and, he's that same type of dude as Masvidal, kind of that street dude. I totally think he's, I've always been a Bobby Green fan, and I'm happy he's getting his due. If he wins, I won't be that mad, but I'm picking Jalen Turner in this. Is the next Sean Brady, Kelvin Gastelum?
No, you got Rob Font and Figgy making his debut at bantamweight.
All right, Font's my homie. I'm going with Rob Font. I love Rob Font's jab. Figgy's a stud. I'm going with Rob Font.
They're both older, though.
Yeah.
Figgy's actually younger than Rob Font. People forget.
What are their ages?
Rob Font is like 36.
All right.
Figgy's 35. So old for bantamweight.
Right. For the small weights, it is getting up there. But I'm going Rob Font. He's a real one. He's a stud, hard worker, and he's a New England cartel. My homie up in Boston.
And then Sean Brady, Kelvin Gastelum.
All right. So this is the last fight I'm gonna play with. All right. Kelvin Gastelum making his return to 170. He sometimes looks like a world champion. When he fights, when he fought Stylebender, sometimes he looks like a world champ. Other times, you don't see it as much. All right? He can be hit or miss. I think going down to 170 adds an extra variable. I would say it's a negative variable. He's been fighting at 185. Sean Brady coming off his first loss to Bilal Muhammad, first loss of his career.
That was tough for Philly.
Yeah, man. And, he's Sean Brady's kind of like a Philly Rocky Marciano. He had that undefeated thing to him. He was climbing in the rankings. Good grappler, good striker, good kid. If I was betting my life, I'd bet on Sean Brady.
I think he bounces back as well.
I think he bounces back. He had some injuries. He's had some setbacks, some health setbacks. I'm going with Sean Brady. Another, he's more my friend. And I'll tell you, I bet with my heart, not with my brain sometimes. But Gerard, you'll tell him I'm over 70%.
Right now, brother, you're up around 80%.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Kelvin Gastelum was trying to kind of catfish us with this photo right here. Where it's like, oh, is Kelvin Gastelum actually in shape for a fight?
Kevin Gastelum on the gas.
Yeah.
He's not. He saw him at weigh-ins. He looks kind of flabby still.
Okay.
Yeah.
What you trying to say,
Bro,
Delco?
he's got one of those like Mexican bodies. You don't hold that against him.
Delco out here mad that he
Don't be misled.
Out here mad he bet against Big Country Nelson every fight. Come on now. Come on now.
Yeah.
That's a championship physique.
Those are my picks. Is there you want to real
bare
quick?
knuckle?
You got anything else to the card?
No, but you got a bare knuckle pick for Eddie
Nah.
Alvarez. And,
Nah, he's not doing that bullshit.
Nah.
He's not doing that
No
bullshit.
picks.
We got dinner. The Oregon
Nick's
game's
picks are
on here
legit.
in 15 minutes.
Before we wrap
gotta get out of here.
Yeah, before we wrap it up, my picks of the week, my locks of the week. Take Detroit -4 against the Saints. Even though it's in New Orleans, I like Detroit bouncing back. And give me the Chargers over the Patriots. I think that locker room is checked out on old Billy B. I love the Chargers -5.5.
All right, I'm going. Unlike Mr. Ross Patterson, I'm taking the Eagles.
Woo.
I'm taking the Eagles +3. I'm not playing around with that, bringing it down. I'm going to need all 3 points. I might want to add a 0.5 up.
Sure you will. You can buy a half point up.
You know what I mean? If you're going down, I'm going up.
Yeah, I get it.
And I'm going to go with Miami. They're -10. Who are they playing? Washington?
Yep.
I think Washington's a garbage fire. And, I'll take Miami. As Gerard would say, I think they're going to boat race them.
Boat racing.
Boat race them.
Ross, tell us where people can find you, man, and what do you think is next? What's next for you?
Absolutely. Drinkin' Bros podcast is available on all platforms along with Ross Patterson Revolution. Hard AF Seltzer. Go to hardafseltzer.com today. Use the store locator, type in your city or zip, and find these guys nearest you. 8%, no carbs, no sugars, no gluten, if you give a fuck about that.
They're damn good, too. Boy.
Yeah.
Thank you. Live in 6 states.
I've been drinking these for
Pina
the past
colada,
2 days.
man.
They're
Mine too.
phenomenal. Pina
Yeah.
colada is my favorite as well.
Same.
Do you have like a cheesecake flavor up there that I've never seen
We
before?
did. So we've got a bunch of flavors, and we got some new ones coming out next year. We're always trying to swap them in.
Is there
and out.
actual hard seltzer in those?
I got a strawberry shortcake in the fridge for you if you
Really?
want it. Yeah,
I do.
We'll drink it on the drive down.
Beautiful.
We're
Sounds
going.
great.
Let's grab some
and
steak.
on the next one, I got to ask you. I want to get into your and Dan Holloway's connection and Drinkin' Bros. We're big fans, and
Chat
all that
roulette.
stuff. Next time we'll get up on that.
Chat roulette is where we meant.
One
Chat
more
roulette.
thing.
Kidding.
We got hemp dip, new little sponsor. G, show that to the camera right there. Got these little CBD dips. No nicotine, no tobacco. You know, I like the nicotine, but you pop these bad boys in. You don't have to spit. You swallow them right now. We get hit in the head. CBD is good for you, good for your brain. Check these bad boys out. Do blend hemp dip. G,
Do blend hemp dip.
pop one of these bad boys in, huh?
All right, sure thing. I love me some hemp dip.
Yeah, it's a little hemp flower, bro. There's nothing bad for it in you. Even Dr. Drew said that the nicotine wasn't bad for you, that it's good for you, but, you know.
Ooh, that's delightful.
Nice, right?
You know what
Take
else
us
is
out,
nice?
Papa.
This is nice. Here we are, road game, here for the UFC with the Drinkin Bros, our favorite podcast. For Ross Patterson, for Dan Holloway, for Adelco, for all the great people here. Check out Drinkin Bros. Check out all of their offerings. Check out betus.com. Use code SNT125. Help us help you make money. Check out the wellness company, twc.health. For the great Mickey Gall, I'm Gerard Michaels, and we will see you guys next time. Peace.